Hello. Hello. Welcome
Hello.
back.
Sorry, I
Lovely to
was
see you again.
mid sip.
That's all right.
I've been away for a few weeks.
Yeah, where you been? Where you been? Let everyone know.
Been chilly. I've been chilly. You know what I'm gonna say right now? Photo right now of a photo. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Isn't it beautiful, Charlie?
It's wonderful, man. Fucking wonderful. Look at that.
No,
Look at
actually,
that.
I'm gonna send you real quick. I'll send you a photo of the Milky Way. It's like an actual photo of the Milky Way. I'll send it over
It's a
to you. All right?
photo of the Milky Way.
Yeah, because the only
No
time
way.
I've been able to see it with my own fucking eyes. Because obviously, I think it's south. They say it's the South Hemisphere only, but I don't get that because what's it called?
Right.
Apparently the Milky Way is named by the Greeks. I'm like, yeah, but the Greeks are the South Hemisphere, so like
What do you mean? Most
tripping.
commonly known for Greece being within the southern hemisphere.
Hey, what?
It's a joke. That's a joke.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm like, oh shit! I'm like, that's bad. I never thought it was great at geography, but I think it was that fucking bad. Like, oh yeah, South
Oh.
America, right underneath it, Greece. There we are.
Right.
Well, look, go on.
Perfect. Shall we just jump into it then?
Shall we
get-
quickly explain what is our first topic going to be then, Charles?
Of course, sorry, my bad. Yeah, we should go through all the topics. So, firstly, I'm doing a segment on the AFD. Now, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this because I don't speak any German, but the alternative für Deutschland. Okay.
So the
it's
alternative
a
for Germany.
Yes, yeah. Far right party in Germany. They've got two state elections coming up, I think, today.
At the time of
And
recording,
they're really, really worried about how well the far right are going to do. The far right are now nationally ranked second most popular party. So, yeah, going to have a conversation about why far right parties are doing really well across Europe at the moment.
that sounds insightful and interesting.
Yeah.
For me, for my segment, of course, we'll be able to do less current news and more just sort of that sort of. We say philosophical. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, philosophical.
I'm doing the death of noble oblige and the rise of luxury beliefs. Basically, nowadays, back then, you had to basically follow in the footsteps of your leaders, those who are smarter than you, richer than you, and look better than you are. And now I feel it's been perverted. I want to just talk about that and see, should we even try and like restore noble oblige? Should we even try it to bring back where the noble class are, one, exist, two, are people that we should look up to.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll see. We'll see. We'll have a look. We'll discuss it at depth.
It's interesting. I'm looking forward to that one actually a lot. You always come up with the best topics. And then finally, we're doing one on the smoking ban recently. Or it's not ban, it's proposed ban. It's an idea. It's not passed yet or anything. But yeah. So the
Look,
ban
already
on
ready.
smoking...
Already ready defence.
Shut up. No, I am. No, the proposed ban on smoking for pub gardens, certain public spaces, play parks, things like that. Yeah. Perfect. Shall we dive into it then?
Let's jump into our first topic then.
Let's jump into our first topic. Great. So you should see should be the Guardian up on your screen. So the headline for this is Nerves Rise over AfD threat as state elections in Eastern Germany begin. So basically, right, I went through it a bit, and we've got their manifesto, which we'll have a little look at in a minute. But it's a summary of their beliefs, right? Is very, very anti-Islamic, like incredibly anti-Islamic views, and anti-immigration, strong anti-immigration. And now, a new term I actually came across is welfare chauvinist. Now, do you know what that means at all?
See, if I wasn't recording my screen, I'd quickly Google it and pretend I do. Go on.
So it's a bit of a surprise one for me because I had no idea either. Never heard of it before. It's welfare, but only for natives. So that
Okay.
shows you the extent of anti-immigration they are. They believe in a strong welfare state, but only for native Germans. Yeah. So that's quite in itself, even without explaining it, just quite a worrying phrasing, sentences, all of that. So yeah, and then also, so the main catch-all phrase, another phrase that I haven't heard of, and again, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, but Völkisch nationalism. Now, that is
Okay.
a German ethnic nationalist belief system. So, but what's interesting is ethnic is the word used there.
Yeah, that's the issue
yeah.
at the moment with modern politics. I've always wanted to say that ethnicity and ethnic conflicts don't. It means different things in American eyes compared to the European eyes because it's very, very different. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pro Europe ethnic conflict and I'm anti American ethnic conflict. I'm not gonna say that obviously clearly, but ethnicity actually has very different. I want to say philosophical meaning to the Europeans more than we don't learn about it because why would we want to learn about that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's really worrying because then that conversation isn't even delving into immigration because realistically, ethnic can be extended to, I know you've lived here for 2 generations, but your parents came from Africa, so you're not German, kind of thing. And I think what's really worrying is obviously the Nazi Party, the kind of core thing of it was a mono-ethnic state is what they wanted to achieve. So that's, do you know what I mean? To have that in Germany as well is really worrying.
Well, what I was thinking about was the welfare thing, where if you get far right enough, you do end up what's it called horseshoe theory, isn't it? Where far, on the right now, you'd see, oh yeah, they tend to be more anti-welfare, but you get far enough, actually we're pro-welfare now. Or is it that they're so European that their far right is that, yeah, we only want one welfare state, whereas the left want 3 different welfare states, actually.
But if you remember, the Nazi Party was the National Socialist
Party,
the Socialist Party. That fascism does have a lot in socialism. Because realistically, you've got capitalism or socialism, and then you've got authoritarianism or liberal. Either way, right? So fascism is socialism authoritarian, left-wing authoritarian. They're most fascist states aren't very pro free markets. They're very against free markets.
See, if you were to do just a 2-axis political thing, then actually you'd put Nazi Germany probably at the centre, but highly authoritarian, because there's so many different beliefs within it. But of course, it is it came out of disillusionment from socialism. I believe it came out originally out of Italy. I think.
Yes. Yeah. It
where originally came out of Italy. Yeah, it has roots in Italy. Where they went, this doesn't matter. They went more individualist or individualist socialism. Well, that's where it comes from. And it's very complicated. Nazism, very complicated.
I think it's important for us to explain as well that because we're going to get viewers from all around the world, right? And it's weird in Europe because I think a lot of these views are a lot more okay elsewhere, a lot more deemed kind of socially acceptable. But in Europe, it is weird because we did have like a huge period of fascism because we forget, like, before World War II, almost every country had a massive fascist party. I mean, England had a huge fascist party that was gaining popularity. Europe was rife with fascism, and that is what led to the Nazis. It's what led to World War II. So we have a lot of, like, I don't know, we've had to do a lot of things like Germany. It's illegal to have swastikas and stuff like that. It's illegal to name your child like Adolf in Germany and stuff like that. They use a lot of these
that's just
measures.
like a child protective services, though. Let's be honest, that's the reason why.
Yeah.
No one wants to be called.
But
it's like no one now is going to call themselves like Adolf fucking Epstein. You know what I mean?
And it's really, really weird though, because like when I went to Berlin like 5 years ago now, but I went there and there was I did like a walking tour of the city, and we went to kind of go see Hitler's bunker. Now I say kind of because in order for it not to be a memorial, they built a car park over it.
Yeah. So
they just filled it all in with tarmac, and the tour guide was like, "It is a shame because that is quite a crucial bit of history."
Yeah.
But also he was like, "But I completely get the need to not memorialize," and it's so difficult conversations about what statues should we keep, all of this? When are we preserving history, and when are we, you know, making these horrible figures into like heroes? You know,
London still has a Karl Marx statue.
do we?
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Wow.
And I mean, that he's Karl Marx. Yeah, obviously, ideas weren't the best. I say like that, keep it lightly, because I know there'll probably be some people who support her. And your fucking choice, your loss. If you agree with Hungry Santa, but like, you could probably track that. You could probably very easily make a sort of line going from this guy's ideas, then resulted in this many millions of deaths. But we're not there. Like people still to this day will memorialise quite a few communist stuff, but obviously no one really memorialises Hitler, and no one really should. But it should be something. Should be a
Some
sobering
people
thing.
do, but
Yeah, I think like keeping Auschwitz. Like people, I remember a mate of ours went to Auschwitz for like his birthday. Went there just to breathe that up into shit birthday, to be honest. But like went there just to sort of take it in. This is what the lengths of human depravity can get us to.
Yeah. I've never personally been to a concentration camp, but my partner has, and they said it was like horrifying. Really important to go see, but really harrowing. Yeah.
Because every single person's capable of it.
Yeah. I think that's the really worrying bit. I mean, so there's an experiment, a social experiment done. It's very famous. You might have heard of it. It's where basically they're told to zap a person, right? And it starts off really, really low. And they're told to do it. Now the person doesn't actually get zapped, right? It's an actor on the other side who just goes up, like that, right?
Yeah.
And the people in charge keep telling them to up the amount of electricity they're using.
volts.
And the screaming from the other person gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the amount of contestants that did it to the point of like an electric shock that would kill a human is horrifying. The amount that ended up going through with it purely because they were being told to.
Yeah.
And the people were like, no, it's fine. Don't worry about them. Just keep doing it. It's shocking.
Quite a lot of people don't think themselves. They think, oh yeah, I'm in this lab or whatever, so that clearly everything's be fine and safe. So if I could just follow their commands, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But you need to stop and think. Every single thing I do, I stop and think and realise, is what I'm doing right?
Yeah.
Not
It's really
every
important
time
to think
ever,
about.
but I try my best.
Yeah. But anyway, let's bringing it back to the far right parties. I think what's worrying about the AfD, if you want to go on to the manifesto, is a lot of it sounds really, really good. It sounds
Democracy and core
really
values sounds great.
reasonable. But
National security, yep. Foreign
if you
security.
read it, there's bits that are so worrying. There's some awful phrases in there. I can't remember it, but I read through it and I just thought, like, I kind of get what you're saying, but it's icky. It's really icky. Possibly the biggest one is the euro. They want to abandon the euro, which Germany abandoning the euro would basically mean the euro was over.
Yes.
So I don't know what your views are on the euro and stuff, but
I can understand that the euro is kind of neat because you can go to all these different countries and not have to get changed. And every single time you get changed out, you get swindled. Let's be honest, you always get swindled.
Yeah.
Like, what's it? At the moment, money is fucking just numbers. At the moment, and when I went to Chile, I had to fucking pay a fee to change money on my bank card. Like, that money doesn't exist on my bank card, and you're telling me, oh, this imaginary number, there's a fee to change from this imaginary to a different imaginary number, and it's like that really does matter. Like, you're stupid. You're really stupid for that. What does the euro actually stand for? I think it's just a medium of exchange. If you want to change your medium of exchange back to, was it francs they had? That's France, isn't it?
Yeah, francs.
Oh.
No, it's francs.
Okay,
It's
I thought it was
francs.
France had francs. Maybe both of them had two different types of francs.
I might be wrong.
Go for it. It will probably cause a lot of economic downturn for the EU. I'm not too sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because the EU could probably do with a kick up its arse, I'd say.
Well, so a lot of what they were talking about is how we need to step back from the EU or Germany. When I'm saying we, I mean Germany.
I can't remember who it was, but I remember some political commentator was like, so basically, Germany lost World War Two. Then after it, in the wake of it, it's like, all right, guys, I know we couldn't conquer the entirety of Europe, so how about we all sort of join hands together? But like, we'll run it though. We'll run it, but we all join together. I kind of understand. So I don't see why Germany wants to like leave the EU.
That is possibly the worst interpretation of the EU fucking ever.
It's an awful take, but I think it's funny though.
I was a strong Remainer, and I still am. I think the EU is a beautiful thing. I think its potential is amazing.
Been to Benidorm, that's part of the EU. Ugh.
It is part of the EU.
Ugh.
I've been to fucking Stoke-on-Trent. That's not part of the EU.
Oh god, we haven't got a good example either. We've got fucking Smething Birmingham. Jesus Christ.
I go to uni at Southampton. Okay, there are examples of bad places outside the EU.
Southampton's nice. What the fuck are you on about?
It's got a lot of character. It's got a lot of character, but
okay, we'll agree to that.
Some rough bits. There are some rough bits.
It is a poor argument on that. Anyway, back to the Euro stuff. Do you think what negatives will happen if Germany was to divest from the Euro?
Oof. I mean, we're talking about like the Euro would probably be dropped almost everywhere. Now, a lot of what the Euro does do is it can help poorer regions. So poorer countries that do qualify to meet the Euro then benefit from being perceived as a strong currency, even when they're not. Like places like Greece and stuff like that. And also, I think the most important. So I actually think, as an economist, that the Euro is a bad economic move for your own country. It gives you less power over your own financial policies. There's a lot of issues about it with all that stuff, right? But I think one thing that it really does do is it creates a sense of unity, and it creates trade does go up with something like that. It is so much easier to trade if you don't have to worry about exchange rates. As you just said, like exchange rates, obviously on a personal level, you can get swindled by like the banks that are like, we're going to take
you will
5%. Yeah, you will. But even on like a kind of macroeconomics point, you still can get a bit screwed over by it when you have differences in exchange rates, when currencies go up and down, how expensive your stuff is changes. And a lot of that becomes a lot more stable with the Euro. For other countries outside the Euro, but obviously within the Euro, you have no issues. Germany doesn't have to worry about their exports to France at the moment, how expensive that is relatively because of the exchange rate. Because there's no exchange rate,
Yeah, I completely understand that. I feel I think also that because the euro is used by so many, it does help protect it from mass inflation. But the issue is, if another country who uses the euro does such a big fuck up and causes inflation, that will affect all of those member countries.
True. That is what I mean. It becomes a lot more difficult to have monetary policy for yourself. Like what interest rates should you set and stuff like that become confusing. And you do see stuff like the credit crunch that happened in the 2000s, all because of the euro. So not all because, but largely propped up by the existence of the euro.
I can say.
Anyway, let's get back to the core of the topic, really, which for me was about why the far right is rising. So they're growing in popularity. I mean, you've got the Reform Party in the UK, you've got the Swiss People's Party in Switzerland, you've got Brothers of Italy in Italy, you've got Fidesz, I don't know how to pronounce it, but in Hungary, you've got the Finns Party in Finland. These are all far right parties. I believe all of them but Reform are the party in power. Italy has a far right government. So does Switzerland. So does Hungary. So does Finland. You
I've
know,
got to quickly ask you. Far right according to who is my question? Like, who is there an objective person who's like, yes, I define exactly the centre? You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of, to be fair, yeah, that's a good point, but there is a general consensus that, um, that there is a center, there is a far right, there is a far left. Far right is characterized, as I said, by a lot of nationalistic views. Mainly, I don't like to call just every populist far right. I don't think that's true, but nationalism is far right. Extreme nationalism is definitely far right.
But you'd be willing to concede that some form of nationalism is always important for a country, though, of course.
Yeah, I think I would generally agree that I like patriotism. I'm quite a patriotic person myself. But I don't generally like the thoughts behind nationalism. I don't like the othering that happens. And I think a lot of the problem with nationalism, so I think it's just a lot of it is it's getting countries are struggling. Europe's struggling right now, right? Low growth, and that Germany is not doing well in terms of economic growth, wage growth, stuff like that. And it's easy to blame immigrants, and it's easy to blame different cultures, but that isn't the answer. You know, the answer to growth isn't we need to make sure there are less mosques. That isn't how you achieve economic prosperity, you know?
Yeah, I can very much agree with that. But I'm going to say, so looking at this, I can understand very easily why people are attracted to these parties. Because, I mean, who's going to object to democracy and core values? That's very important to everyone. Everyone's always talking about Europe and the euro. It's always been important to Germany. National security, national strength, that sort of stuff, key to the survival of a country. And look, even here, there's a far-right party, but they're talking about free the labour markets from unnecessary restrictions. I mean, you can see there's quite a what's it called, a capitalist thing, but it makes sense always. Sometimes there's a bit too much like paperwork involved. Retain minimum wage, end financial discrimination of families, make work worthwhile by enabling basic income, stuff like that. These are like, it don't sound far right to me.
Yeah. No, a lot of them don't initially. I think it is really worrying a lot of the sentiment, though, like the language they use, a lot of their reasoning is, I find, really worrying. For why we need certain things, and just I think so. I would say the far right's rising, right, because neoliberalism is struggling to deliver at the moment. This decade so far has not been a good decade for neoliberalism, and the last one wasn't either.
No.
And that leads to discontent, and I think this is funny because this is what Starmer said in a speech the other day, but he basically said that the centre doing politics the right way and actually solving issues is difficult and it's unlikable, right? You have to balance budgets, you have to invest, there's no quick fixes. Starmer's stood up here and been like, basically he's already saying, I'm not going to be able to fix everything in 5 years. It's going to be slow, it's going to be hard, and you're going to see a small amount of results. And you compare that, compare that with then a populist narrative of someone goes, trust me, lads, I'm going to fix everything, right? It's super easy. We need to do these core steps and then it will all be fixed. It's really, really difficult not to buy into that.
Yeah, very easily. You haven't even sent any positions. I'm like, I'm behind you, Charlie. I'm on that.
Yeah,
because it's quick. We're impatient.
Yes, well, yeah, exactly. We're impatient and we want solutions. And the problem is, right? The problem is, I read a really interesting article the other day in The Guardian about how because when you get this populism, right, it never solves anything. So like Italy is a very good example, right? Italy have stagnated since the 80s, right?
Yes.
And basically, rather than doing like the difficult, annoying things that had to work, right, that aren't likable, but you have to do them to be able to move on and achieve likable stuff. They opted for populism, right?
Yes.
Which offered quick fixes, but didn't actually fix anything. Which then means the debt situation gets worse, or a situation develops, right? Something goes really wrong, right? Because they're not fixing a problem, which then leads to a really bureaucratic government getting in and going, right, we're going to make hard cuts, we're going to do austerity or whatever it is to fix the issue, right? But that leads to really unlikable, really tough years. So then a different populist leader comes along and says, I will fix all of this. So that leads to more really tough years. And it was saying that basically we yo-yo. If you fall into the trap of populism, you yo-yo between a populist government selling you the answers and then a bureaucratic government having to do the really awful things to fix the problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you maybe agree to the idea of maybe like some unelected council who run the entire country and make sure no matter how unpopular they are?
No, I would never. I do know some people that on the like left wing of the political spectrum that believe that democracy is just an ends to a means to an end. Sorry, ends to a mean, means to an end. But I would definitely say that for me, democracy is an end in itself. It is a goal. It is a thing that I view as important and always needs to be maintained. I'm really excited actually. This year at uni, I'm going to do a course called The Struggle for Democracy and how you have to constantly fight to maintain democracy because politics kind of tends to veer away from democracy because that makes it easier for you. So why you have to fight to ensure it.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see points of that. It does sound quite dull, though, let's be honest. I'm doing like blowing shit up. That's why I'm having fun.
Mine sounds cooler than yours.
Whatever you tell yourself. But looking here again,
boring nuclear physics.
Yeah, it's only years of safety and health. I bloody hate safety and health. God, gotta protect the animals. Fuck off. I want to blow shit. Looking here again, families and children's commitment to traditional family as a guiding principle. I think traditional family values are important and stuff like that, but I'm worried about it. I'm worried about what they would state as traditional family values.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe in traditional family values, but my traditional family values are that I think you should look after your kids, and then when your kids become old, they should look after their parents. Right? I believe that's the core family. You know, not about a man and a woman having 2 kids, you know, not about, you know, it them being your biological kids, not adopted, right? It's not about nuclear families. That's not what makes family special, you know? What makes it special isn't that you have a mum and a dad that stick together. It's that you have people around you who stick together, you know?
Yeah. I've been sort of starting my research, starting scripting for a big, long, deep dive segment for one day in the future on what are traditional family values and deconstructing all of them and seeing, is it worth deconstructing? Because at the moment, I've been seeing that people deconstruct things for the sake of it. You know, like a bored kid, they'll just disassemble a pen because they can. And it's pointless to society. We're not taking any new philosophical things. We're not making anything new ideas-wise. We're just going to disassemble what we've already got and see, I want to see how it ticks, and then try and put it back together and see, does it work?
And it works still.
It's a tough thing. I think obviously traditional family values make sense. Of course, things like, you know, usually typically there's probably an idea that maybe having a strong feminine presence and a strong masculine presence in the house of a growing child would probably be strong. Good idea for them. Not sure how we can maintain it, and not sure how necessary it is. Because people will get the masculine and feminine role models from anywhere. You can find it from a good teacher, find it from another family member who isn't. It's quite complicated because it's a human mind, which is like literally incomprehensible. I'm sorry, not a clue on any of that.
You see, I partially agree, I partially disagree, because I've been reading up a lot about masculinity and femininity, and as far as I can tell, the opposite, because as far as I can tell, there is no such thing as either. If you ever think about it, right, masculinity, what people would call masculine traits, they are just good traits, right? It's stuff like loyalty, bravery, courage. Those are just good traits for a human to have. Whether you're feminine or masculine, you should be loyal, you should be brave, you know. And then femininity is normally just the absence of those good traits. It's stuff like, oh, weakness and, you know, not loyal, like gossiping and stuff like that. It's literally just a way of people trying to feel good about themselves, but with truly unattainable things. Because you can never be loyal, right? You are all, it's something you're always working towards, so it always keeps you there, right? Because if you say, oh, masculinity is loyalty, right? How do you be a loyal person without constantly having to put effort into it? And it's an unattainable thing. And then the feminine traits are just a lack of loyalty, right? It makes no sense to me. It's literally just describing a good person is masculinity, and then femininity. People are like, I feel like they're just describing a bad person. You know,
I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Okay.
I think there are many feminine traits that are also admirable. Things like, you know, nurturingness. That is an amazing thing. That's, of course, what a lot of men struggle with. And
True.
Is it, maybe, honestly, I don't know that well. It could be a genetic thing, genetic predisposition to all these certain traits and stuff like that. I'm not going to put up sources to sort of, because I'm going to try to operate at the top of my head of feminine traits, and I struggle to think of them. But even things like, even with masculinity, you can justify, with masculinity and femininity, you can justify any aspect of a person for it. I'm sorry, if you're going to say to me, oh yeah, you've got to be loyal to be a man, I'm like, then I think in my head, I'm like, okay, so I've got to follow this leader and do whatever they say because I'm loyal to them. I sound like a soylent cuckold, which they're these masculine types. I go, oh, actually, no, you've got to be very independent but loyal at the same time. They've got all these disparate ideas that can be contradictory, and anything can be defined as masculinity, but we need to, that's something we'll have to discuss one day. What truly is.
But why are they either traits? Well, I've worked with kids for a long time. I really enjoy working with kids. I probably want to end up being a teacher, right? That makes me very good at nurturing.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I would, a lot of people would describe me as a very masculine person, right? But my partner, who a lot of people would describe as a very feminine person, is very brave, is very courageous, you know?
Fierce. What sort of stuff?
Fears what? What?
Fierce.
Fierce. Yes, fierce. I thought you were saying fears. I was like, well, she's afraid of spiders, but...
Halloween costume.
But no, like, I just think we're just talking about a good person here. You know, we're just describing good traits to have. Why shouldn't everyone strive for all of them? Everyone should try and be a good parent. You know, you shouldn't be like, well, no, I'm a man, so by default, I'm not a good parent. Like, just be a good parent, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to put my kid, and he's going to watch me sort of bench press 180. That's me being strong, and the mother can take care of him when he shits himself. I think it's a balance. Everyone should have all these traits. If we could probably go down, if we were to deep dive into it, I could say there's 120 traits. And if think of it like I'm gonna think of it like a video game, because it's a good way to always describe it for the modern generation, the youngins like us, as like, you know, these little sliders, right? Sliding up and down of all these different things. And I think genetically there is a predisposition for men and women to have different levels of them. But everyone, you know, I haven't seen a guy who's like, oh yeah, I'm a really good, strong, courageous man, and if I see a child, I'm going to sort of look at it and not do anything about it. He will protect a child, will help them out, maybe not as well. And I'm not sure I can understand. I'm not sure if I'm in full enough depth to understand completely about it.
I'm going to have to like partially agree and partially disagree here.
That's the point of this show.
A lot of that we should do a full conversation on this, because to be honest, I don't fully believe in gender as a thing. And I don't really recognize it in my day-to-day life.
Well, gender was invented in the 60s anyway.
In the 60s?
Yeah, the term gender.
Like, yeah, but it was invented back in like when humans were first around.
The term gender, which is the aesthetic behind the stereotypical sex I want to describe it as.
But I don't really believe in constructs about gender. So then it's difficult if you don't believe in gender to believe in, like, if I don't really believe in the differences between men and women, I don't really believe in the differences between masculinity and femininity. Do you know what I mean? Like, kind of by proxy, I don't believe in them.
I can understand if I went through your belief system, I would then have the same thing. But there's always difference last time I checked.
we should do it. We should do it. A conversation on it, because there's a lot of interesting things. A lot of interesting things.
Again, it's the human mind that's the issue. There's so many the human mind is just plagued full of contradictions. It's impossible to come to a concise conclusion at the end.
Yeah, and I think it's a trait of humans is to want to group things and organize it to make sense of it, rather than learning each person's individual personality. If we could have one thing that we see about them, that we can then assign them a bunch of attributes, so we can categorize them. That makes life easier, yeah. But I don't think that creates an accurate depiction of the world. But we like to try.
I have all these preconceived notions about what a woman is, and then I'll do that. And then for each woman I'll then adjust it and go, okay, she's like a stereotypical woman, but these dials are changed, or whatever. We'll say like that.
But we do it to try and make it easier at first. That you're like, oh, okay, I have preconceived notions about what she'll like, what she'll dislike, and I just don't know if they're true.
I can't remember, was Plato's was it Perfect Dog? I think it was, where you have the idea, the concept of a dog, or that.
Yeah.
Right? Concept of a dog, and each dog is different. Because no two dogs look anywhere close to the same. But we all know in our head that is a dog, and there's always different things that it could be. But then he's like, okay, so there's an ideal form of what a dog is, which is usually this sort of cylindrical object with with 4 legs and a face normally.
Yeah.
But it's very confusing. We'd love to talk about it more in depth. But should we continue a bit more with our
Yes.
Rise of far right?
Yeah. So why do you think? Do you think far right sentiment is growing? Do you think it's always been there, and the centre is just worse at suppressing it now? Do you think it's growing, and why do you think it's growing?
Well, the ideas have always existed. About a population who agreed with it probably is always the same. But I can understand these sentiments, but I'm going to stick to what I'm doing anyway. I'm going to stick to these political beliefs. But then they probably get so disenfranchised that they go, well, I've got any other option but to vote for this party this way. I can understand. I can sympathise with people like that who's like, I feel like my country's screwed, and the only thing I could do is radical change.
Yeah.
I would never want to describe a person who goes to that point. I wouldn't want to describe them as evil or whatever, because I understand.
No.
They completely understand their logic, their steps of, I want this. This isn't happening. I've tried. Nothing happens again. Trying again. Again. I haven't got any other option but to try for these people over there.
Yeah. I think definitely. It's kind of like what I was saying, that it's when difficult decisions have to be made, and then there's an easy promise and an easy fix. It sounds a lot nicer,
But when tough decisions need to be made, I don't want some. Oh well, I can see the good and bad on both sides. Strong decision time to get this done. We need someone who's like, I believe this strongly, and you're not fucking changing it, no matter what you say.
But also no, because what I was saying was more that rather than it's about what kind of person you want to make the tough decisions, it's that the populist person often won't make them. Rather than making the tough decisions, they'll just go, we'll fix this instead. So rather than dealing like the Conservative government, the last Conservative government, rather than dealing with issues like Brexit, right? Because undeniably, something as big as Brexit had a lot of fallout. We had a lot to manage with. It was going to be tough to handle all that. Yes. Rather than doing that, they came in and they were like, we'll stop the boats and send flights to Rwanda, and like gimmicks, rather than actually solving something, because it's an easy sell.
Yeah, tackle smaller issues or tackle symptoms of a larger issue as well.
Exactly. I mean, if you look at the last Conservative government, you started off with Cameron, right, who not a fan of because he's a Tory, but he came in and he was like, we need to balance the books, we need to do budget stuff, this is going to be tough, right? And then by the end of it, you had, going to spend $2 billion a year to send 300 people to Rwanda. Like, how, Well,
mate Cray's got a van. I can do it for tenner. Honestly, it's one, government incompetency, always a big problem, because the government I don't understand how they're always so inept. These are the smartest people in the entire country, and yet they can't balance a
No.
book. They
Why
can't
would
balance
you
a-
say politicians are the smartest people in the
They're
country?
supposed to be. They're supposed to be the
No,
fastest in the country.
no,
That's what I
no.
want a politician to be. I want them to be like the moral, the best moral person. I want them to be the strongest, and I want them to be the smartest. All of them. Nope. They're all just toffs.
A lot of them aren't. A lot of them aren't. A lot of them are self-interested and they're sleazy because often, and I've said this, a lot of what makes people who are charismatic are often not very good people because they have to use charisma to make people like them because they're not actually a good person.
Yeah.
And
I'm never
being
going to
a
trust someone whose
charismatic
entire
is
job is that.
important for politics. So, you know. You get a lot of very charismatic people, but not a lot of very good people.
Silver-tongued devils, all of them.
Yeah.
If someone's job is to make me like them, I am never going to like them, just out of spite. I'm very sorry. Cut to a couple of weeks on, we have like MPs on, like, yeah, I think you're a dick. Just because you got elected, I think you're a dick. If you didn't get elected, you weren't likable enough, therefore you're real.
I went door knocking once, right? And this person, she said she voted for whoever wasn't in power. No matter what. She just voted the other person. Because she was like, the second you step into power, within like 2 years, you're corrupted.
You were corrupted 10 years before that.
But this is about councillors. This was for council elections. And she was saying you need to get them out because they get greedy and corrupted. The greed, the money gets to them. Do you know how much a councillor gets paid a year?
That's 24, isn't it?
13k.
1-3.
Yep.
Oh shit! Jesus Christ!
Like, it's not a full-time job, let alone like I don't know how you get corrupted by greed on 13k a year. With that argument, me working like in a bar is corrupted by greed.
I can very easily see how they get corrupted because they've got fuck all money, so they're going to take any bribe they can.
What bribes though? Someone's going to come up to them and be like, "Do up my street first. Here's a $5." I'm gonna slide a tenner across the table.
I've got a pothole. If I give you 20 quid, will you do it for me? Yeah. But it's annoying.
Anyway, let's return. I mean, yeah. So I just think, kind of to summarize, right? We've been on this for a while. We should probably move on, but I think it's really worrying seeing how much the far right have like grown. It is very concerning. It's very bleak outlook for the global economy if they do get in, and especially in Germany. A party in Germany that supports ethnic nationalism is very, very concerning.
I can see that. Don't trust the Germans with anything.
Right, shall we move on to your topic?
All right, let's do this. Sit up, get all nice and ready for this. All right, so I'm going to be doing the wrong one. The death of Noble Oblige. I can never pronounce it right. My family is French, and they've told me 100 times, but I keep forgetting. I think it's Noble Oblige and the rise of luxury beliefs. So let's define some terms. What is a luxury belief? Charlie, any ideas?
So I would say, I'm not sure on this. This is your topic, but I would say a luxury belief is one that you can only really be held when you're in a position of privilege. So like movements like defund the police and stuff like that, you're only hearing that from communities where there's low crime rates already.
Spot on the money. I've got the actual proper definition because it was first originally done by Thorsten, I can't pronounce his name. Thorsten Veblen, all right, on his book, The Theory of the Leisure Class, and been recently more popularised by this guy called Rob Henderson, who is quite young. I think he's similar ages to us, maybe in his 20s or something like that. And he sort of, during his university doing philosophy, he sort of then coined this term where ideas and opinions that confer status upon the upper class at very little cost, whilst often inflicting costs on the lower classes. Physical costs, not moral costs. So yeah, as you said, defund the police is an excellent example where if you're rich and privileged enough to actually even say it, or maybe even believe it as well, this belief, you are so sheltered, all right? You cannot truly, if you were lower class and you're dealing with crime, your idea is not to let's just get rid of the police. There we are, problem solved. It's stupid, backbrained, backwards thinking. It's just awful. It's these sort of groups, they've been classed under many other names throughout time. You know, the most common ones I like to use. I'm going to be looking at it more from a left wing perspective because I think it's quite easy to deconstruct on the left wing. I'm not going to say it's exclusively on the left wing. There's quite a lot of people who are very well sheltered in the right wing, but on the left wing we've got terms such as champagne socialist or latte liberal, which is a bit weaker, but champagne socialist, very poignant, and armchair revolutionary. I assume, as Labour stock guy, armchair revolutionaries, they exist quite commonly, don't they?
Oh, 100%. And I have personally been called a champagne socialist more times than I can count. I'm not. Because this is what everyone gets wrong. Let's start off by defining the term champagne socialist. Everyone thinks that a champagne socialist is just a socialist who comes from wealth, who is rich.
Yes.
That is not. That is not the definition of a champagne socialist. So a champagne socialist is somebody who believes in socialism, but only for the societal benefit, like the friendships and the connections. So someone who likes to at a party say they're a socialist because it makes them seem cool.
Yes.
Who likes to put it up on Instagram, who virtual signals, who holds luxury beliefs, but they would never donate to a socialist party. They would never run on a socialist platform themselves. They would never actually try and enact change, but they like to sit there and go, yes, it seems like a great idea. I would be fully behind it. I'm never going to do anything, but I'll be fully behind it. Whereas me, I have actually campaigned for left-wing things. So don't think you can really accuse me of having not done anything.
You put your effort in. And also want to then add to that, there's also some of those that would be classed under champagne socialists where they're like, yeah, socialism would be great. Imagine if everyone earned the same, like, 60k a year. If everyone earned, that'd be brilliant. That's not what everyone earning the same would be. It's 24k. They're quite sheltered, so they think, imagine this life, but everyone gets it. Like, no, it's not going to happen like that.
Yeah.
You're so high up, you can't see the bottom. You can't actually see the bottom, what everyone would be.
Yeah.
You can't actually see the lower class, because for a lot of socialism can be described as resentment for the rich. You can agree to that term?
Yeah.
But they don't do it. They don't do it to, like, look at what you're doing to these poor people. All right, look what you're doing to. No, they don't care about the poor. They only hate the rich, and I can see that point. And they themselves, they think they're rich. Oh no, but I'm not the 1%. You are. Even us being alive now, we are the 1% in history. 0.1%. We're the richest humans have ever been. And yeah, but we're still like, yeah, but like Bezos, go fuck him. Like, we're to the rest of society and to the world, we are in the same boat as them. We've got to quickly understand that. Anyway, here's some key topic points that was given by Rob Henderson that he said were luxury beliefs. So, defund the police. Luxury belief. No human is illegal. I think I would say that's more of a meaningless stance.
No humans illegal. What does that mean?
Exactly. What does it mean? But you hear it everywhere. What does that actually mean?
I've never once heard that.
I can understand people saying, "Oh yeah, no humans illegal." So I think they're talking about illegal immigration.
Right. Gotcha.
But I don't think it's saying, "Oh yeah, this person's illegal." And I think they're trying to. People who say like, "Yes, this what." The people that they're countering aren't saying this person's illegal. They're more saying that the actions that they did were an illegal crime. That's what they're actually saying.
Right.
And stuff like decriminalising drugs. Apparently that is a luxury belief. I can understand that as well. Because, oh yeah, if you're going to have some heroin, not heroin, that's the other one. Cocaine. If you have some cocaine at a club or whatever, then yeah, it's fine. But if we're talking like decriminalising drugs, we're talking like legalising crystal meth for the most depraved communities at the moment, which only rely on drugs illegally to sort of escape their miserable lives.
Going to partially disagree because I believe in the legalisation of weed.
Of course you do.
Marijuana. Yeah. I've never once smoked it and have no intention of it, but I do think it would help. I do think it would help a lot of people to not be addicted to it. I think it would make it a lot safer for a lot of people to smoke if we can regulate it. I believe also then we can tax it, so that's a form of revenue. We can then also also, though, we can remove certain aspects of the chain that make it dodgy. A lot of county lines programs, stuff like that, would start to crumble because at the moment you've got a black market for it.
Yes, of course.
You know, so if you can't stop people wanting marijuana, which, weed, God, marijuana makes me sound so old.
Professional here, right?
I sound like someone who just like the most out of touch person ever.
Yep.
If you can't stop people from smoking weed, which the war on drugs kind of proved you can't,
Yeah.
then make it safe. Make it as safe as you possibly can.
I can see your point.
my
I
opinion.
still think smoking weed is degenerate behaviour. And
We're gonna cut that little segment out.
It's
Cut
like,
that out. Definitely cut that out.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of decriminalising drugs. I'm just in general not a fan of decriminalising drugs. I just don't know. I feel it feels wrong. It feels wrong. But other luxury beliefs, removing SAT, so it'll be for us. It would be like removing A levels and like GCSEs. Like they're not actually important. They kind of are, I think.
Yeah.
And rejecting marriage.
I think a lot
well.
of our testing system needs to be, a lot of the way we do our education and test people for their education needs to be changed. But the idea of like, just remove it and people can get jobs based on like how they interview. It's basically, we're going away from a merit-based system to a, what's it called? Where, nepotism system, which benefits the rich.
That's what they've really, these people who hold these luxury beliefs already exist in that sort of society where they get a degree, they pay money for a degree, they don't do anything, and they just get it on paper like that. But they've learned nothing from that degree, and they just get a cushy job anyway.
Yeah,
like have you seen the pampered people? Like, I work at this Silicon Valley thing, and so I get there at 9, and then I have like a face wash, a face scrub, and then I get coffee. There's free snacks, and then do like an hour of emails, and then go out for a 2-hour brunch. Like, just, that's not. It's not a real job. It's a fake job. It's a fake job. You do nothing. And the other one, rejecting marriage. That is
rejecting marriage.
That practically they're saying that is harmful for lower income communities, which I can see.
How is it harmful for low income communities?
I think the fatherlessness epidemic is very much an issue. I think, and it just disproportionately.
Does marriage change that though?
I think a strong marriage would change it. I'm not sure. I feel
marriage is just a piece of paper.
I very much disagree on that. Marriage is a very important and special thing. And
to be fair, I am purely taking a devil's advocate stance there.
Of course.
Very big fan of marriage. I am engaged myself. Like,
I am also engaged with him. It's great.
I think my partner would disagree with that, but
whatever, they can disagree all they want. They can come on and debate me. That's all I'm saying. I deserve it more. But marriage comes from the idea of basically, genetically, most animals, they want to have a partner, make sure that the child that they're raising is theirs. So with marriage and a strong marriage institution, ideally, that kid that they sire is going to be theirs, and they take care of it, and they're not wasting their resources on someone else's kid. And that's kind of what marriage is there to do.
The main thing I would say about marriage is it adds a lot of legal protections. So it's not about, I think people should get divorced if they're unhappy together and stuff like that, even if they have kids. If that's the right thing for the couple to do, they should do it. But it adds a lot of protection. So one person can't just leave the person with the kid without giving them money and stuff like that. That it adds a lot to it. And I think there is something really important for, like, say if I earned more than my partner, but they did most of the housework, then I've only been able to earn as much as that because they were doing the housework. So they should then be entitled to some of that money. So I think it's good in that sense, in terms of it gives people protections.
Yeah, marriage is bringing two people and making them be one, an official legal capacity, basically.
Yeah.
But back onto it. Are you aware of the concept of practice your piety?
No, I don't know what those.
It's an old phrase. It basically means do something good, keep quiet about it though. All right. So because nowadays virtual signaling and these sort of luxury beliefs, they're all posted online. You've got your sort of back. You used to have. I'm thinking like 2010. You had your hashtag activists. Think like Cooney 2012 or flag activists, which still exists to this point where every June you get all the companies, they'll change their thing for rainbow colours. But obviously, it started off originally with the was it Charlie Hebdo, wasn't it? Charlie Hebdo stuff. Remember?
Right.
That's when everyone changed their Facebook profile pictures to like their face, but like with a French flag as a background or whatever, something like that.
Oh. No, I didn't know that, but
Might just be in my circles because, of course, France.
French.
Would expect.
because you're French.
I was even doing some more thinking about this. Where would you consider this to be virtue signaling? All right, I'm a big company, multi-million company. Then I post online. If you donate to this cause, we'll match every penny you put towards it. Is that virtue signaling of the company?
Potentially. I think it's not virtue signaling if they actually put the money in.
Oh, they're going to put the money in.
I think this is, but this is the thing with virtue signaling is it's all about saying something without doing anything and without meaning anything. Right? I don't think it's virtue signaling to give to a charity because that's doing something. You're achieving something there.
I'm going to say, I'm quickly just find it. Quickly find. I wrote some terms of what I believe virtue signaling to be. I got it online from another like what they called. Oh God. A person defending it, saying here's positive to virtue signaling, and from the positives that I could see was those who virtue signal, they might wholeheartedly believe this value. All right, and maybe they think that virtue signaling, maybe they're right. They could be right in that as well. We've got to make sure this is clear. They could actually believe it. They could be right on this, and virtue signaling does have the ability to change opinions. Whether how much, I'd like to talk about that later on in the segment of how much really does it change people's opinions with modern day social media algorithms. And the fourth one, everyone virtue signals, and it's impossible not to. Even me right now saying I hate those who virtue signal, that's me virtue signaling against people virtue signaling. I'm virtue signaling. I'm better than to virtue signal. That's me virtue signaling.
Yes and no, because you're not trying to do it for the acclaim.
Aren't I?
You're not doing it. You're not doing it to get props. No, look, I'm not going to congratulate you on not virtue signaling. I'm not going to.
Why not? Please, I deserve it. Okay. There are also sometimes where you haven't got a choice but to virtue signal as well. All right. So things like Maoist China, you had to virtue signal. Say, I'm part of the party. My family's not. Right. You had to, because if you didn't, bad things would happen. All right. Bad things happen to you if you didn't virtue signal. Or even more recently, go back to the Cold War. Was it McCarthyism, where like you had to like if your neighbour was a commie, you'd out them as a communist, wouldn't you? Well,
yeah.
You'd have to do that because otherwise, if you didn't, you could be in hot water as well. So that is virtue signaling in its truest sense again. But there is a inherent risk to it, and there still is a risk of not virtue signaling to this day. Not that bad, not Maoist China bad, of course. But let's say I was mega famous. Can't wait. It's going to happen in like a couple of weeks from now, I think. Actually.
Well, over nearly 1.5k views on YouTube.
In like 2-3 weeks. Brilliant. It's insane. Yep. We'll talk more about that later on, though, the end segment.
Yeah.
But let's say I was to get like hundreds of tweets atting me, saying, you need to say on your platform you support X. If I don't, I'm going to get hounded for it. I'm going to be socially ostracized and not supporting this cause or this person or whatever.
Yeah.
And if I do, that's it. These people who have been sending angry comments will like leave me alone. But I'll also attract those who don't, who disagree. Like, oh, you soylent cuckold, you're bowing or whatever. It's a lose-lose battle no matter what with this sort of stuff, especially being online. Everyone would just disagree for the sake of disagreeing sometimes.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's a good point. Maybe I'm taking kind of too loose of a view of what virtue signaling is, because realistically, the thing. Like virtue signaling, right? The words themselves, virtue signal, to signal your virtues.
So
doesn't everyone do that? Doesn't everyone who talks about politics do that? You couldn't talk about politics, or you'd be dumb to talk about politics whilst going, I'm never going to say my own opinion, though. Yes. I'm only ever going to argue from a devil's advocate point of view. That gets dumb.
Yes. Right, donating. Is simple. And it's easy. It shows you're a good person, shows you're an amazing person, instead of putting in manual effort. I mean, you can then go, well, I'm putting manual effort in, and this manual effort is then converted into cash, which is then transformed over. But compared to actually going out and doing something
Getting
for
your
that
hands
singular
dirty.
cause,
Yeah,
it makes sense.
exactly.
But
Like, you can pay for trees to be planted, or you can plant a tree.
yes,
You know? Yeah.
but I'm not too sure if we could say, oh, donating is virtue signaling, and therefore virtue, because we're out here, we're both assuming virtue signaling is bad. Yes, you agree?
Yes.
We've got the.
Yeah.
If everyone fell under societal pressures to donate to virtue signal, those donation things, they're going to get a lot of money, and that's a good thing.
True. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think virtue signaling, like, it does do things and it does achieve stuff. I think, I don't know, it's I think for me, what I would add to kind of virtue signaling, or like what I am adding, which is why I'm assuming it's a bad thing, is that I'm assuming that virtue signaling is when you do it for something you don't believe in or you're uninformed in.
yes,
So
quite a lot of time.
I know for a fact that so many people have put on their story things about Israel and Palestine.
They don't care,
And I'm like,
we don't care.
But then I go to have a conversation with them about it, and they know nothing. Like, they don't understand what's going on. Like, either side, they just don't really know facts.
I'm doing the good thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I think you shouldn't ever do anything politically if you're super uninformed. We don't want to have a conversation on Israel Palestine because both of us think we don't have enough information to get the full history justice. And I think that's really important if we're to stop the kind of spread of misinformation and false facts and stuff.
I'm not going to say misinformation. I'm going to say
don't know,
uninformed
don't talk about
information.
Okay, yeah.
Uninformed
misinformation implies like maliciousness.
Yeah,
but I think that's quite like a controversial view I have. But if you don't know, that's okay. That's completely fine to not know enough. Like in the comments, as we'll get onto later, but in the comments, I was responding to a lot of them being like, "Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah,
learn something new. Like, thank you for informing me." You know, I thought I'd put a tweet out saying like 9's an unlucky number in China. It was like a response to something else, and I got a couple comments being like, "No, it's not. It's 4." Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, I've learned something." But then you don't stick with your viewpoint, and I believed I had the correct information there.
yes.
I've heard that from somewhere. I thought that was correct information. I'm not going to like. If I had no idea what an unlucky number in China is, I wouldn't just make one up. I wouldn't be like, 7.
Close enough.
For the fun of it. Do you know what I mean? I would only give my opinion if I knew what was going on. And I think there are way too many people that they go, I have no idea, but everyone else seems to be doing this side, so I'm going to take that side as well.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a difference between online and non-online virtue signaling. Online, it really does fuck all. I've got to be honest. It's simply just making a statement to a circle of people through algorithmic manipulation and stuff like that, where basically you're in your own echo chamber. You are just shouting out, "I think this thing," and guess what? Those people in that circle, they believe you. They already agreed to begin with, and if they don't, they're just gonna like quote tweet you, or whatever, or like just clown on you. Like, you're a loser. You can't believe you think that. And they're not gonna change their opinions on it because people are so divided online. So, honest virtue signaling online saying, "Yeah, I think like kids in Africa should have like food and stuff." It's not just do anything. It's really not meant to do anything. Please, if you really do care about an issue, donate your money towards it. Donate your time towards it, and don't demand or seek validation for it. Like I don't ask anyone for what they do. What do you donate your money towards? Because I don't care. No one really cares. Because every time someone's like, "Oh yeah, I donate this money to this organization," I'm supposed to go like, "Wow, thank you for doing that." I'm not going to remember it. And good on them. Honestly, I'm very proud of people who donate their money towards it. It's a very noble thing to do. Don't tell me about it though. All right, it's not my job to know about it. I also want to sort of see the difference between. So do you know the difference between push motivations and pull motivations?
Yes. Yeah.
So of course, push is external factors. I'm thinking like, online fans demanding a celebrity come out and support, like I mentioned earlier. And internal is someone who's like, I'm bored. I want maybe not even bored. I want to gain a bit more social kudos. So I'm going to post a photo of me at a soup kitchen. Again, doing something at a soup kitchen, very noble. Very proud of people for doing that, and very happy that people are doing that. Posting about them doing it, not too sure about that. Maybe if they're a very big person, they're like, here's a link to also do it yourself as well.
Well, you can argue no matter the person, no matter how popular you are, whatever, right? You have influences. If I'm telling all my friends, oh, I worked at a soup kitchen, and I look how great I am because I worked at a soup kitchen, and I'm posting on my social media and that, might make one of them feel guilty and be like, oh, yeah, I'll go do that as well because I want to be able to say that I did it. You know, so you can argue it does do something. Does less, I think, definitely does less, but it does do something.
I feel it would more breed resentment, honestly, like that dick. I do it for, honestly, oh, you think you're so much better than me or whatever. I think it might just be because I'm quite a cynical person in general as well, though. Right. So I can see that. But also, even things
I think a lot of it is about what comes out of the virtue signaling. Very few people are going to go, what a dick, going to a soup kitchen, because that's actually a nice thing to do. If you're just posting doing that, about, if you're just posting about stuff that you have no knowledge of, it's like, come on, you haven't helped anything here. You don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Why are you inputting here? Why are you acting as if you're some hero? Because everyone can do it. And I think that's when it can kind of ruin movements.
Definitely, for sure. I can agree on that easily. But even some virtue signals are completely meaningless as well. So, like, let's go back to, what was it, a month ago now? When the Trump assassination attempt, all right? Remember that? Of course you don't remember.
Yeah.
So, within that, people then, after its reaction, they would, on the right wing, they just change their profile picture or just share a photo of the guy, of course I know his name, Trump, where he put his hand up like that.
The man, dude.
Yeah, that one, you know, what's his name? Mr. something, I don't know, Mr. Money?
The blonde one with the
Mr. Money, that was it.
Orange skin, yeah.
They posted that photo of him, powerful photo, by the way, powerful. Like, honestly, Renaissance level photo, it's really good. I love it.
Probably one of the best election photos ever taken.
Honestly, lightning in a bottle that was. But then they posted it, and I don't understand what that virtue signal is meant to be signalling.
Well, that isn't a virtue signal.
I would say it is.
No, that is marketing. That right there is campaigning. That photo, we just said that is one of the most powerful election photos ever. Right? Who do you think benefits if that image gets shared a bunch?
Oh, the right, of course. Or more accurately,
but not just
Trump
the right. Trump himself. So if you support Trump, what's one way you can help him?
Share that image.
Exactly. Get as many people as possible to see that image. So it may not be virtue signaling, because they might not be signaling a virtue. It might just be, here's some campaigns for Trump, right? I shared the image of Sunak with the rain coming down him whilst he was announcing it. That wasn't necessarily a virtue I was signaling. That might have just, it kind of was also just this, the more people see this photo, the better chance he stands of losing.
Okay. So I'll take back that being a virtual signal then.
I mean, you could argue it is a virtual signal as well, because you're signaling that you support Trump. Your virtue there is that you support Trump. But I would classify it more as marketing.
Okay, yeah, I can agree to that point very easily. I can very easily agree to that point. I'm also going to say there are people, there's memes online of, I don't know if you've seen it before, so you're aware of the NPC meme, aren't you?
Yes.
And under that, there's one variety of it where it's, I support current thing. And that's used by the right wing against the left wing, saying like, yeah, you just all mindless sheep. So that's them virtue signal saying like, I'm actually very well informed.
Yeah, I'm actually better informed than you guys are.
And you know what the opposite of it is the exact same thing, but it's changed, where all it says is, I support opposite of current thing, which is, it's been, both of them are the same level of intellect of, I see thing on the mainstream news, and either I believe it inherently because mainstream news therefore equal good, or I disagree with
Yep.
it because mainstream news equal bad. They both are equally as low-brained. I only care about
Yeah.
your political opinions if you're well thought out, if you actually believe it, understand it, and the nuances of it.
Yeah.
Or at least if you feel that you believe and understand it, because of course I'm not going to be the arbiter of actually you don't know the issue well enough because you disagree with me. If you knew more, then you'd agree with me. Like
Yeah.
if you've got a strong held belief that's opposite to mine, strongly held, and your information, your resources that you've seen agree to your sources, yep, I'll completely understand it. I'll completely go, yes, you are completely fine with that.
Yeah, and I mean, this is like why we want to do this podcast,
Yeah.
right? The whole point is about hearing other views, accepting other views have validity, and yeah, kind of trying to find what's actually correct. And sometimes there isn't correct things.
Mm.
You know, there's like this doesn't really have a correct thing. We're just exploring views and opinions on it.
Well, I was thinking, so we both have our own moral codes, yes, our own virtues that we aspire to. Now,
Yeah.
because we've got this platform at the moment. This is the biggest platform, no, but it's a platform nonetheless. We've got those people who view.
I think it's the biggest platform on YouTube right now.
Actually, we are number one worldwide. Actually.
I think currently, yeah, we're most subscribed YouTube channel with what do we have, like 7 subscribers?
Is that Raid Shadow Legends? 100 million quid? No, we want more than that. Let's say, so we have our moral codes, and we're using this right now. We're using our platform right now to talk about our moral things. So let's say I always buy free range eggs. Okay.
Yeah,
That's my
same.
That's me being virtue, because you can see that being some people would virtue signal over I always buy free range. That's a virtue.
Oh god,
people,
yeah.
People will virtue signal over that. Now, because I'm saying this to other people and showing off, does that remove the morality of me buying these free range eggs anymore? Because now I'm using it for social clout. Does it still remove that morality I have?
It's
I've gained from it.
It's an interesting question. And actually, I think one of the first pieces of media to talk about this issue was Friends. So on Friends, I don't know Friends very well. Who's the weird kooky one? Phoebe?
Yes.
Says to Joey, she says there's no such thing as a selfless act. And she's like explaining to all of them, actually, I think. And it's basically that anything that's selfless, you feel good about yourself for doing it.
Yes.
Therefore, it's selfish. If you believe in heaven and hell, being a good person is therefore selfish because you're securing yourself a better afterlife. If you believe in karma, doing a good thing is selfish. If you believe in nothing, but it still makes you feel good when you do a morally good thing. So I buy free range eggs. I feel good every time I buy free range eggs. Therefore, it's a selfish thing.
Yes. I can very easily understand that point for sure. But I think there are things where you go, if you dig down deep enough, it is a selfish act. But if you just look on the surface, it's a selfless act. So it's good enough.
Well, but I think what's interesting is then why do we care what's selfless and what's selfish? And I think that's where it becomes a bit virtue signaling, and kind of because we're social creatures that always want to be liked, we care about what people think of our views. But realistically, if it's a good thing, in my opinion, right, if you do something good, like buy free range eggs, right, yes, that's a selfish thing for me to do, but that's okay because it's a good thing for me to do. So I've still done the good thing. Right, I would still say that, like, I've done the morally right option here. You know?
Do I lose that moral karma or whatever for buying those free range eggs now that I make it a public thing to show how good of a person I am? Do I lose that morality because they're using it for social clout?
Yeah, I think you could argue you do. Especially a lot of like I know in like the Bible and stuff like that, it teaches you not to be like boastful and stuff like that.
Very much so. Matthews, I think there's a quote using on virtue signaling.
Right. Yeah. So could potentially be a thing, but also things like the Bible tell you to spread goodness and to teach others what's good and bad. So.
Well, yes. Yeah, so I don't want to like
complicated mix.
Like my child's like, Sid, what's right and wrong? I'm like, I'm not telling you that because if I tell you, therefore I'm actually virtue signaling. So I'm just not going to tell you what's good and wrong. Got to find out yourself. Like, no, of course you're going to tell people what's
Dad,
good and
is
bad.
it okay to kill people? Well, I'm not going to say some because I don't want a virtue signal.
Oh, killing people is bad. What a virtue signaler. Honestly.
Bet he doesn't actually believe in it.
Yeah, bet he kills all the time. Anyway,
Oh, mate.
some signals, I like to describe it as peacocking. All right, you know how peacocks will spend a lot of their resources to get this big, massive bouquet of feathers behind them.
Yeah.
So, look at how healthy I am. I can have all that. I'll just turn my thing up. Oh, how strange. How big of a display I've got with all these colours. I'm really healthy, therefore fertile, therefore have sex with me. All right. That happens in real life with fancy clothes, fancy electrics, and also I'm able to spend this much money on this sort of virtue signal to show that I'm good. All right, so let's say celebrities.
I can afford to buy free range eggs.
Yes.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Politicians and celebrities, I'm going to model them as inedible money buckets because I'm not that far off. Okay. If they have the money where, all right, so I'm going to spend my money or my time, because time and money are inextricably linked, because I want to also think like the distinction between donating money and donating time is quite arbitrary, because money is time and time is money. But they'd spend that money to make themselves feel better about their life, or to show to people, I am an amazing person, even with all my money. Because quite a lot of time, having lots of money, so people have less money breeds resentment for those who do have money. But then those who do have money, quite a lot of the time they feel awful about it. They've got to justify, why do I have this money? Why me? Why do I deserve this cash? So what they do is they spend it, they waste it on, well, I wouldn't describe it as a waste, but I'm going to say the word waste. They waste it on social causes. So actually, I'm using my money for good, therefore I'm a good person, therefore I deserve to keep this money. Or some people could be sociopathic enough to go, if I spend 10 million on these positive causes, it's going to generate enough positive press from me, so eventually I'm going to earn 10 million back from it.
I'm going to make money,
Yeah, from all the positive press. Yeah. So I like the idea of, you're going to like this one. Remember the time when Trump delivered pizzas to, I believe it was firefighters?
Yes.
Where the pizza was already there and then he took it out.
Yeah, it was firefighters.
Brought it back in.
Yeah, and it was cold because he did that, and he didn't pay for it himself. And
or
everything
Obama
like that.
spending 10 minutes in a soup kitchen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 10 minutes, yay, whatever. But it's 10 minutes, you know what I mean? It could have been more.
Yep.
It was there. He was there to get videos and photos, shake a few hands, and fuck off. He does not care about the homeless. He did not care about the homeless in that 10 minutes.
No. Yeah. In that soup kitchen.
Now, the more expensive a virtue signal is within using time and money as the expense, does that make it more worth it? Does it make it more moral?
Ooh.
The more money you spend on it?
No, I don't think so. I think what makes it more moral is if more good comes out of it. So, because you could be wasting the money. But if you're spending more money and that charity is then able to do more work, that then becomes more of a good deed.
Because I said the amount of change you enact is actually a good barometer for how much it matters. But since that's unquantifiable to donate your money and time to a cause you feel deserve it, it's so incomprehensible to find how much change you actually do. Unless you're like, oh yeah, I'm adopting a child, adopting a snow leopard or whatever through these charities, then there's a real tangible thing, a person or an object or something which you can show that this is what I have put my money towards.
Right.
It's so hard to actually find a quantum value. The best we could do is, okay, I donated this much money. But then also you can say, okay, how about we do percentage based? Okay, so if I donated 20% of my income, that's a lot.
Yeah.
If a rich person donated 20% of their income, that's also a lot. But again, those who are that rich can also afford a 20% of their cash just to go like that. I don't think I can afford 20% of my money to go at the moment.
No.
So even percentage based still is not a perfect system.
No. I mean, but that's why you have progressive tax systems.
Or again, a rich person donating a week of their time in Africa, same with me donating a week, they can afford to have a week off work. I can't, even though I don't work.
Yeah. But like they can, they might not get fired and stuff like that. Definitely.
But I was thinking.
But also, does it make it more of a virtual signal the more you put in?
I don't know. I can't describe. I wouldn't be able to quantify this. I just want people to
Yeah.
take this segment and think about it. And from my own thoughts, I was thinking, it happens more in America than the UK, but military discounts at certain places, right? They take a bit of chunk off for food or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that the business of virtue signaling saying, I support the troops? It's a virtue signal, is it not?
Partially, but also no.
Why
So,
no?
Because I actually studied this in economics. Basically, if you're a company, your ideal way of pricing it is going, how much money do you make? Great, I'm going to charge you this much, right? It would be per customer, and how much they can afford is how much you would charge them,
Yes.
right? Because if McDonald's could sell you their burger for £20,
They would.
instead of £3, they would. Exactly. But it's very unlikable as a company to have a thing on your board saying, if you work, you have to pay more. So what they do is they do the opposite. The generic price goes up because the assumption is people work.
Yes.
But then you have student discounts, child discounts, elderly discounts, because they don't work. So basically what you're saying there, what a company is doing is going, if you have a job and you're middle-aged, we're adding a surcharge.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then don't worry about it. You can still get it for less. And I guess veterinary discounts, and also like we have blue cards here in the UK
But NHS,
with like
don't we?
NHS. Yeah, exactly. A lot of that is also because they don't get paid nearly enough, so they can't afford that much. But then this way, they can afford to eat like bankers and stuff like that because they get the discount on it.
Yes.
So really, it's a way of charging other people more. It's a way of making more money as a business.
I understand that. People who, if someone with a blue card or someone who's got, a veteran who asked for this discount, we'd never call them virtue signaler for saying, and you're get 5% off. So you sort of slightly mentioned, I'm an important person that did this good thing. Then we'd never call them virtue signalers. But there's this sort of subsect of people in America. They're military spouses who then, like, because I'm a military spouse, therefore I should deserve military discount. And that I could describe quite a few of those people as virtue signalers, because they're like, yeah, being a military spouse is one of the hardest things in the world, so therefore I deserve this. So, like, say, woe is me, look at how bad my life is, therefore I deserve praise and like this sort of shit.
I think potentially virtue signaling, but also potentially just wanting a discount. Who wouldn't take a discount if you could get a discount? If I could get a discount for being ginger, I would ask for a discount for being ginger. It's not me going, whoa, my life has been so tough. Just, if I could get a discount, I'll take a discount.
I could see that. I could see that easily. Now, weirdest thing I saw, virtue signals in an argument. So you see all the videos of smarmy dickheads. They go to like a protest or a college campus or whatever, and they're there with their camera, and they're there because they want to get some content of some people acting. Look at my political opponents; they're deranged. Look at how fucking stupid they are.
Yeah.
That's their point, right? And most of the time, what you do is they're there like, I want to debate virtue signaling saying like, I'm very fair and modest. All right, they're virtue signaling saying that, but the people will in return will just shout virtue signaling chants at them of political phrase repeated over and over again to shut them down, or they'll just respond. We'll be in the middle of a conversation and they'll start responding. They'll just pivot the conversation completely away, and they'll sort of say a quote, or not quote, but a slogan. So stuff like, if you argue with a Trump supporter or whatever, they randomly start saying, yeah, but lock her up though.
Yeah.
They just want to switch the conversation to something that they feel they've got the moral high ground on, using these virtue signaling phrases. And it's when you're just saying a phrase, they're meaningless.
Yep.
Say a phrase is meaningless. No human's illegal. Well, yeah, humans aren't illegal, but like let's talk more in depth of this. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but who's going to disagree with that? Let's talk more in depth about it. But they just want the surface level virtue signal.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Or again,
that is definitely a thing.
Let's talk more in depth about this.
Virtue signaling is everywhere.
Yes.
It is endemic.
The rise of evil, right? The evil does rise. Evil is rising at the moment. Yes, so you can see that point. Bad people are taking more power, or whatever. or evil actions are always occurring. Yes, evil actions are always occurring in this.
Yeah, evil actions always occurring. I think that's a sentence I'd use more.
But people will condemn those who were actually will only, like, let's say I've got this 6 different issues, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 different evil issues at the moment, and the popular one at the moment is issue number 2. Everyone's talking about issue number 2 at the moment, but I've been spending a lot of my time on issue number 5, and people would call me out for not putting enough effort. But the trendy issue at the time, because I'm caring about this one, or I'm caring about all of them equally, or I don't care. I'm at all about these issues that are happening, but people only call you out for the trendy ones. So they are only dealing with symptoms of something bad happening and not actually want to do solutions or causes or other issues that could be happening. Can you see that? Where that's one of the main issues I find with virtue signaling is that you're just saying, "Oh, I support this thing," but you're not doing anything, and there are other issues that could be talked about instead. You can see that.
I think. Yeah, no, I definitely think that does happen. I think maybe one thing that you're not considering there, though, is people do have different priorities. What is important to people is different. So you may see them all as, we have 6 issues that matter.
Yes.
They may see it as issue number 2 is the most important thing that we need to solve immediately. All the others can wait.
Yes.
So that could be an explanation. But you are right. I think a lot of it is the virtue signaling of it.
Of course. I'm going to end my segment here. I've still got another page I could talk about. But anyone, please, if you want to just comment, if you comment any sort of points you want to counter, I can then go further into my beliefs in our next comment response. What do you think, Charles?
Absolutely. Let's go for it.
All right, so shall we go to our final segment then for the day?
Yeah, that's perfect. Let's move on to the final segment.
All right, so we've got the outdoor smoking ban at pubs and other locations. So I'm going to let you lead this a bit,
Okay. Right, so the smoking conversation, there's multiple aspects of it. The first bit is one they're definitely doing, which is banning people from ever smoking. So it's 2009, people born in 2009 will never be able to legally buy cigarettes, vapes, or cigars or pipes or anything. By upping the age limit each year. So people that already smoke can keep smoking, but nobody new should be able to get into smoking. They also are considering banning them in certain public places, like pub gardens, like children's play parks, stuff like that. You are still allowed to smoke you would still be allowed to smoke in large open areas and private property, and stuff like, so streets, general parks and stuff like that, beaches, fine. But kids play park where the swings and slides are, nope. In pub gardens, nope. Which is interesting because pub is a private property.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they are allowed to legislate on that. But there's plenty of legislation already for companies, like their own private property, what they can and can't do. And they've also the switch to reusable vapes.
Mm-hmm.
Companies they're really wanting to crack down on legislation. There's talks about completely banning disposable vapes. There's massive talks about making it so that vapes are behind the counter only, so you can't have them in display windows and stuff like that.
Oh,
like cigarettes, you can't have cigarettes on display. You have to go up to the person and say, "Hello, could I get a Marlboro cigarettes?"
Yes.
Marlboro Gold cigarettes, right? And what's even more with cigarettes is you can't have them on display behind the counter.
yes. Well,
They now have to be hidden away in drawers. No, but now they're starting to have to be hidden away in drawers. They're thinking about doing.
I'm like, if I want to
So
go
that you literally have to know the cigarettes. You can't see any names.
yeah, what am I like there? But I don't know which ones I fancy for the day. Oh, you've got the good ones. I'll have that. You know what I mean? Pain in the arse.
Yeah.
You're
You're going to have to say, do you have these?
It's a pain. It's definitely a pain. I mean, I understand it's killing.
Yeah.
What was it? 80,000 deaths a year. Right?
Yeah.
Linked
Premature deaths.
linked to cigarettes, and it is a large number, but it's definitely a lot lower than it used to be. I personally, I think now, because smoking culture is quite looked down upon. Right? You can agree to that point. People who smoke is like,
Yeah, there's
smoker, not the best. But I think now it should be. Well, obviously, here comes my anarchist thing. I haven't been quite anarchist at all this conversation, have I? Really? I'm going to spit it now.
No,
It
no,
should
not
be
at all.
business's decision. All right? Because I know people. Charlie, if we were to go to the pub together, I'd suggest let's go to that
Yep.
Spoons where I'm allowed to smoke inside. But you'd go, Sid, I want to go to the one without smoking because smoking's not allowed. There is different consumer demands. Some people want to be in a place where they can smoke. Some people don't want to go there. Now, I understand back then, back when the smoking bans were first instituted, smoking culture was so large that if I was to say, if the government said you are allowed to legislate, you're allowed to say that your business is a smoking available and smoking non-available, most of them would be smoking because smokers were such a large population. But now smokers are dying out, either by government pressure to make them not smoke or by dying out naturally, because they do.
I see. I think this is where it comes to the crux, though, right? Is the issue is that isn't happening with our generation anymore.
Yeah, because it's disposable vapes, because they're bright-coloured smoking devices, which are attractive to kids. What do you expect to happen? Like, oh, minty bubblegum flavour. No, you should have your vape should taste like tobacco and death.
True, but there is. So with your pubs example, I'm getting what you're saying. That like you should be able to choose.
Yeah.
But as I was going to say, is the problem is everywhere would say they smoke, right? Everywhere would allow smoking.
I'm not sure
Because I would just put up with it. And I know what you're saying about all the numbers of people that smoke have fallen and stuff like that. But isn't that largely because you couldn't do it indoors anymore? It became an inconvenience. If you're at work, you have to now go outside. In the middle of winter, you have to stand outside in the cold and smoke. It became an inconvenience.
Maybe the opposite of smoking here. So a train has to have at least one carriage which is smoke-free. At least have one smoke-available carriage.
Yeah, but I guess the whole thing is it's supposed to discourage people from smoking.
But this is from the same government that are also looking into trying to legalise marijuana. Where are you going to smoke that? Where the fuck are you supposed to smoke that?
There's been no talks of them legalizing marijuana.
Really? Nothing. Not even. Oh,
Yeah,
fuck's sake. I thought at least they'd release like try to legalise weed at least.
That's the Liberal Democrats you're thinking of.
But that the Liberal Democrats would also go, yeah, we'll agree to this position, but also let's legalise more drugs that you can smoke. But where can you smoke them? Nowhere.
Well, private property,
Cool. But like, I want a cheap.
large open spaces. I think so. I definitely think play parks.
Yes, I can agree to
massive
play
one.
parks on that one. We're going to be in close
Cigarettes shouldn't
contact
be
with
around
kids.
kids.
Definitely stay away from that.
Yep. I think pubs are good. I think smoking is hideous. I think it kills people. I think it's highly addictive. And I think it is undeniable that you go to a pub. If you sit in a pub garden, everyone is smoking.
Yes.
It is so much part of the culture. You first turn 18, you go to the pub with your mates, you sit outside, one of them pulls out a pack of cigarettes, you're going to be like, yeah, can I have one?
Yeah.
Can I try it? It's how most people get into smoking. Almost nobody gets into smoking by just going, let's give it a shot. It's that you see other people doing it and you have tries of them and then you go, yeah, this is nice. And you socially smoke, maybe you socially vape. And then you go, oh, I want my own one. And that's how it starts.
Yeah, I could very much see that and to agree to that point, but it's like how English pub culture is. English pub culture is a cultural thing. And is it healthy? No. English drinking habits are not quite that healthy, and neither are smoking habits either. But I'm very a very freedom-oriented person, and if I'm like, I don't smoke cigarettes. All right, I'm gonna say that clear. I used to. I enjoyed it. I stopped it because it wasn't good for me. I felt like I could feel it not being good for me. Physical effects, and I stopped. But I would never want to go, well, I stopped, therefore anyone can and anyone should. I'm like, no, if you want to smoke, it's your own fucking choice. You do that, and I'm fine with it. But you die early, it's your own fault. Issue is now, because the UK is a society where one person's health bill is split by everyone, that means people then feel like they've got the moral right to sort of talk to people about their choices, because my eating habits, if I become ginormous and then require a lot of money based on the NHS, that affects you, Charlie. So you feel like you have some moral right to speak about what I do. Now, if we lived in a society more like America or whatever, where each person's their health problems is their responsibility monetarily, then there's a lot less people thinking, oh yeah, I should be able to jump in on your life decisions.
That is true. However, do you want a little nugget of truth, nugget of knowledge?
We need a nugget of truth in this place. Go on.
So, from macroeconomic point of view, it is actually more cost efficient the more unhealthy somebody is.
Go on.
Yeah. So the biggest burden by far every person has on their NHS is when they're over the age of like 65.
Yes.
Right? It's just the older you are, the more you cost. Right?
Yes.
It's kind of undeniable, even if you're really healthy, because your costs just go up and up and up each year, gradually become bigger and bigger and bigger. So things that make you die younger actually work out as more cost efficient. So people who smoke die younger.
Yes.
Therefore, they're less of a burden on the NHS. And also, but not just on the NHS, I think that does include costs of pensions as well. Because if you die before you're 65, the state has never had to pay you pensions. That saves a lot of money. If you live to 120, the state has had to give you 35 years of pensions. 55 years, of pensions.
Good Lord.
That's a lot of money it's cost the state. So the sooner you die, the cheaper.
You are correct in that. Very correct in that, actually. Wow, I did not think of that at all, actually.
Yeah, it's really disheartening, actually, but also it's a very good lesson. It's one of the first things they taught us in macroeconomics, because it really highlights how economics isn't everything, because we should not support any sort of country or any sort of political system that wants their people to die young.
Canada. That's all I'm saying to that point.
Why? Why?
Canada's got a massive problem.
I don't know.
Massive problem with euthanasia at the moment.
Oh, yes. No, I do. I have heard about this. Yeah.
It's from me last time we were in person.
Yeah, it was.
Come on, man. Honestly.
It was. But yeah, so I mean, it's a good lesson for every single economist to learn, is that money isn't everything.
I could definitely see to that. But for me, it's a spiritual and cultural thing. A cigarette is a cheeky cigarette in a nightclub. You know, it's nice, and there's no point. What's going to happen basically now is you wouldn't remember the 2010 smoking ban where that first sort of killed the nightclub scene and also killed sort of pubs like that. Where they quite a lot of them they did malicious compliance to it. So some pubs did a 1 square foot hole in their roof, and that legally defined their pub as outside, so people could still smoke inside. And of course the government went, stop being a dick, you've got to actually conform to it. And what nightclubs or whatever they can do is they're going to make that outside area a big long stretch, and then at the end of it is just far enough where you could technically smoke there and you'll be fine.
Right.
And also,
right,
you're not going to have police officers at 2 a.m. like, sorry, but you're too close to the nightclub to have a cigarette. You're going to have to come with me as well.
Yeah.
These are quite ineffective laws, and they're there for... Would you say these are there for virtue signals? I mean, yes, they are trying to actually stamp out an issue.
I mean, potentially ineffective laws. And as you said, like, maybe the ban of indoor smoking didn't work at first, but it definitely worked.
In the end.
In the end, it worked. There are no pubs. Oh, I've never once been to a pub where there were people smoking inside.
It wasn't in England. No. Yeah, neither have I.
Yeah.
Not in England.
So I think it really, really does have an effect. And we are seeing in Europe that people are dying young. A lot of people are dying young because of smoking. And our generation is starting to rise back up. There was so much hope that we would be the first generation that just never got into smoking. So never needed to have anything to make us quit. Never needed to quit. We would just be the first generation that didn't smoke. And now we vape, which is so much worse for you.
Humans will always find a way to... look at that fucking smug face. You can see... literally, you said the word vape, like, oh, actually, I could do something right now. But every generation wants to always find something to ease their pain or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, ease their life. And that's what smoking does that.
Yeah.
And...
yeah, and I guess that's not even a generational thing. That's a human
it's
thing.
A human
everyone
thing.
has a vice.
Yeah, everyone
has a vice.
And if you minimise the harm of the vice, it's fine or whatever. Or just let people be able to have the vices and be able to control it. Controllably, have more support systems or whatever. Like at the moment, I want to talk more about like English pub culture being dead. It's dead. It's dying. It's been dying for a long while. This recent generation, I believe it was like 30% of under 25s don't drink. Just don't drink.
Yep.
And some of them are people who never leave the house, losers, that sort of people. Yeah, you can see that. Others, yeah, I don't drink because that's really expensive or whatever. I just do a bit of cat. I'll be fine. I say, I don't need to drink. It's just a big. Do a harder drug instead.
I know a lot of people that instead of drinking will just get high.
Yeah, do harder drugs, and
yeah,
I think so that's because drinking is prohibitively expensive, and the culture around it is not there anymore. It's
I think a lot of it is stuff like the beer tax that is only on pubs and not in shops creates such a distorted market. I think we should lower the beer tax because I think pub culture is good. I think pubs need to survive, all of that. But if you as a government wanted to cut down on the amount of people drinking, then just introduce an alcohol tax that applies for supermarkets still. Because the problem is not really, like, I hear what you're saying, that people are drinking less, but that's not really the issue. It's that it's so much cheaper to drink at home than it is in a pub. So why would you go to a pub?
And
when my dad was my age, right, he would drink in a pub because it was just as cheap. And what the pub gives you, the home doesn't, is it creates communities, there's jobs, there's livelihoods built around it. But really, really importantly is that sense of community. You have your local pub, you know the people in there, you make friends. You don't have that
meet your
with
life
just
partner
at home.
at a pub. I mean, right now, in this current way the pubs are, I'm not meeting my life partner in a pub. Not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen. Because one, I don't like stepping foot in a pub because fuck that. Look at this. All right, because it's much cheaper to drink at home. I do, and I don't enjoy it because it's lonely, it's gross, and it's probably more of a slippery slope into developing a drinking problem if you're just there doing it by yourself.
Definitely. Antisocial drinking has definitely been proved to be more of a problem.
Yeah, and I would. It's weird to say because Americans are like, yeah, what's English culture anyway? It's like drinking in pubs or whatever. Yes, it is. Yeah, and it's a good thing. It's a nice thing to do. Drink in a pub, have fun. I've gone to some really lively pubs. So much fun. You meet such interesting characters. Now, all you can meet is lonely people or freshers trying to drink as much as they can at some dingy spoons that will get the best bang for their buck, but also want to leave the house at the same time.
And that's the thing is now we've resorted to stuff like spoons that do cheaper drinks, but they're not as nice as like your local independent pub will be. But local independent pubs are dying and they need to be supported more.
Have you seen I know people who they pre to go to a pub? Because I'm not fucking spending 60 quid at a pub. If I could I'll spend 20 quid at a pub and then drink 40 quid's worth at home. For much cheaper, much easier. I'll do that instead. And that's when you know that not the economy, but the way that drinks are being priced at the moment is so awful. Where you have to, I have to drink at home before I can go out to drink. What on earth?
Yeah.
This is
and also, I think it does create a lot more kind of worrying issues, right? People are, if you're in a pub, there's safety measures, right? As a bartender, right? If someone's too drunk, I will stop serving them, right? I will call a taxi for them if they need, right? I can do stuff like that. If you're at home, no one can tell you when to stop drinking.
And you won't.
There's no measures like that. And so you're much more likely to drink too much if you're drinking at home.
Yes.
Whereas if you're drinking in a pub, as I said, there's other people that will be like, no, you're not having any more, go home.
Because you've got that community around you as well. Other people like, you've had enough.
Even if it wasn't the bartender, there'd probably be other people in the bar being like, oh, mate, I think you've drunk too much, you know?
Well, were you there? I remember we were at a friend's, we did some pre's at a friend's, then we took a bus to a Spoons and then to a club afterwards. And I got ridiculously, I actually blacked out drunk. And I only then remember gaining consciousness at a Spoon. One of my friends was feeding me water. If I was drinking at home alone, they wouldn't have done that. They were there. Like, I wouldn't be. I wasn't being served because I was so drunk. And I then had that social safety net of people around me, a community around me, to then make sure I'm fine. I don't want that culture. I don't want that to die. And drinking is a vice. Smoking is also a vice. So, as long as you can deal with your vices in moderation, it'll be okay. If you're living off vice, if your entire life is, you're hooked up to all these machines just to feed you dopamine, yes, that's a bit too far. But once a week, a couple of times a week, maybe go out with my friends and have a few drinks. It's fine. If I go home every day, have a couple of drinks in front of the TV, that might be the start of a problem.
There is an issue, however, though, with alcoholism, especially in European countries. We do still drink too much as a nation.
Yeah, but
binge drinking rates are too high. All of this.
Yeah, but I don't trust health professionals on what I put in my body that much, because I'm sorry, but if I look at a shredded wheat, they say the serving size is 30 grams. I'm like, I don't trust them. These people don't say what else. 30 grams will feed like an ant. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that is probably where the libertarian in you is coming out of, the thought of the government getting to decide what you do and don't put in your body.
Yep.
That should be on you. If you want to drink yourself to death, you should be able to.
I mean, survival of the fittest, I guess, really.
Whereas, see, I would say the government does have a responsibility for the health of their citizens.
The government should have the responsibility to help raise people to be able to make these decisions themselves and be able to be informed. I've been raised in a society to know that drinking too much is bad for me. All right, and from that point, that's the end of it. That's the end of the line. That's all I need to be taught. And from then onwards, any mistakes I make, I can't blame society. I can't blame my world. People will blame society. People will blame the world. But then I'm just looking like, yeah, but you were the one who drank it.
Yeah, and I just, it's one of those things. It is one of those things that is. I think it's a bit shit, but I also really get it. But I am a non-smoker, so
yes, and I have been a smoker in the past, and I've enjoyed it a lot too much. And then I was able to then take responsibility, to then go, I'm not going to smoke anymore. I still vape. It's still a vice of mine, but I feel it's better, at least for my health. Culturally,
for your health.
People culturally, though, I'm not too sure, because people vaping it's a scourge. I have been approached many times by many 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, like, hey, can you buy me vapes? I'm like, no. Because
really,
I vape, and I don't want kids
awful.
to end up like me, because I wish I could just quit vapes like that immediately. I probably can.
Yeah.
But I'm not perfect. I do have my own weaknesses, and I do like it. I do enjoy it. It's something to do. Had a long day, or I'm feeling rather stressed out, just vape a little bit, calm myself down, relax a bit.
Yeah. Everyone has a vice. Everyone does have a vice.
And people say they don't are just lying to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 100%.
But numbers of smokers who are giving up is still rising. I'm saying that apparently, like in 2020, it's about 60% of people who, of regular cigarette smokers, have quit.
Cigarette
and
smokers,
also
though.
The kids who smoke is going down. But again, the rise of that is one.
That's because that's being taken by vapes.
But also because cigarettes are so expensive, the kids can't afford it. Instead, they'll buy £5 per gram of weed or whatever, compared to what? How much? A pack of cigarettes is like a pack of Cutter's Choice would be like £35 for a 50-gram pouch.
£35?
I
thought cigarettes were like a tenner.
I'm gonna put Google a pack of like
oh my gosh,
50 grams of drum. How much is that?
What? This is proof that I don't smoke, because I thought they were like £8.
Yeah, £39 for a pack of 50 gram pack.
Wow.
It's a lot of... It is so heavily taxed. Like, I just came back from Chile, and I was going to buy a pack of cigarettes. I think it was about £3.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
so different.
It's so heavily taxed, so now people are like, well, they're taxing this, so therefore the cheaper thing is to go into the illegal market. So of course it's a big thing of people who they will buy from duty free and then sell it on to their mates, and that's unregulated, because it's so much easier, because like you could probably save what, 20-30 quid per pouch or whatever, just by buying it off your mate.
Yeah.
Who's come back from Spain or whatever.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if Spain's a good idea, good analogy, but like Dubai, I think that's quite cheap there as well, because they haven't got all these taxes on it.
Yeah.
So I can kind of understand your argument,
absolutely.
where if you say, if we legalise all drugs and put a massively prohibitive tax on them, therefore be fine. But I still think, well, people just buy cheaper cigarettes, people just buy cheaper other drugs. So I feel like lowering the taxes on the drug...
True.
I don't know. Increasing the awareness, this is bad. This would kill you. You would die if you keep on smoking this all the time. Having the occasional cigarette, it's not good for your health. Just keep it to a couple cheeky cigarettes, like at a nightclub at like 2 a.m, you'll be fine. All right, just a couple a week, be fine. I'd rather you don't, but like just have a couple is fine. But like making it this expensive is so hard. And then like, okay, so now you're gonna make it harder and harder for people to smoke. People are just gonna be resentful. They're not gonna quit. They're gonna find other ways. Like the rise of the vape originally was I can't smoke inside. It's not smoke, you dick. So therefore I can vape anywhere. Right to everyone's faces. Right to baby's lungs. Breathing into their faces because you can. That's one of the main biggest rises of vapes. It wasn't because of health. It wasn't to stop people from smoking. It was, well, it's a way to circumvent smoking ban.
Yeah, do you think?
Oh, for sure. Because I'm sorry, would you rather be in a pub and having like a nicotine patch or like some nicotine gum, or would you rather vape? I'd rather vape. It's a much nicer experience.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Definitely a way. I think it was mainly a way to help people quit smoking, but then turned out to be unhealthy. But
it's unhealthy, but it's healthier than cigarettes. So I'll say that for sure.
So here,
of course, there have been issues and stuff with obviously like popcorn lung. That happened usually with THC pens, so the ones that have weed inside of it. Those ones have been. Okay. Those ones have been had caused issues. I think it's been fixed now because, of course, if everyone knew that, oh yeah, weed pens make your lungs explode, they'd probably like be a little more hesitant. So they fix that problem, obviously. I think probably.
Yeah,
but I think we've divested a bit too far from the original thing of making it harder to smoke.
Yeah.
Do we think that should be 1, responsibility of the government, 2, genuinely a good thing, and 3, like shouldn't be bodily autonomy? Like, what do you think on these?
Yeah, I think it does lean into the kind of issue of individual liberties versus public health. We saw it with stuff like vaccine mandates and stuff like that. I think there's a fine line. I think the government should protect your health. I think the government should try to help you, especially with something like smoking, where there are these huge, powerful companies that were doing everything in their power to get you addicted.
Yes.
I think it is important that the government intervenes there to help regulate, to actually create a fairer market by regulating against how powerful tobacco companies were. But I think there's a point. If you're doing something that's bad for your health, but isn't going to harm others, then why shouldn't you be allowed to do it? Why shouldn't you be allowed to do something that is unhealthy for you?
But also, how much does it harm others? Me smoking a cigarette, how much harm does that cause to someone else?
Very little. No, that's what I'm saying. If it's not harming others, like smoking a cigarette isn't really. Secondhand smoking was quite largely disproven.
Yeah, secondhand smoke for a baby, yes. For another 20-year-old next to me,
yeah,
you're fine.
Yeah.
Like
there is some. If you're not harming others, should the government stop you from doing stuff?
No, you know me. You know my positions. No, I do what I want, as much as I can. But I feel like it's just gonna be, you're making more hassle, and people who smoke will still deal with it. Because if you're saying like people who vape is increasing, at the moment you can't vape indoors or on trains. Like you'll see dicks who will. Ugh, I hate it.
Yeah, I
really think it's really annoying because I think one half is out of spite as well. So I wish I could do that, but I want to be a good citizen, so I'm not gonna vape on the train. But I'll see that sort of stuff and think you're a dick or whatever. But like, no matter what, if I have to then walk 10 more steps outside the pub to then go for a smoke, I will. But now I'm smoking alone. Because if I said to you, Charlie, hey, do you want to go out for the beer garden? I want to smoke. You could bring your pint with you, or whatever. Then you go, yeah, sure. Just keep me company. But now I'm like, okay, I'm going to smoke alone.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, I've been here an hour. I fancy a cigarette, and I know it's going to be an absolute pain to go get another one. So I'm going to smoke 2 cigarettes, make it 3 cigarettes, get it done with, so I can smoke as much as I can really, really quick, and then I'll go back in. You know, you can understand what I'm coming from.
Would you ever do that? Yeah, but would you do that? Would you be like, right, I'm going to go smoke 5 cigarettes right now?
Yes. My thing, I've learned from my father. My father used to be DJ. I want to say that. And the 2010 smoking ban was a massive issue for music. Because at a club, you could play more house. Because house music was big back then. And now it's been sort of taken over by drum and bass and jungle and all this sort of like louder, faster music. Because you could be there, you'd be on the dance floor, you'd be dancing, and you want to relax, have a cigarette, whatever. But now it's go into the club, dance as hard as you can, as fast as you can, go outside, smoke a cigarette as fast as you can, back in for more dancing. So everything's ramped up, like do everything quickly, smoke,
Right.
gone, cigarette done. And it's going to happen with that with
Right.
smoking as well. It's going to go, oh, okay, my pint's going to go flat, so I've got 3 minutes, I'm going to smoke 2 cigarettes, one on my nose, probably big exaggerating the nose bit, but like, smoke as fast as you can. And in the end, you've got like, shit, I've just smoked more than I normally would. I'm having a relaxing cigarette every hour or whatever, whilst I'm having a pint. It's fine.
Yeah.
But from there, like, for 20 minutes, I'm like, got to do this really quickly, just have to smoke. Done, in.
I mean, that's an interesting take. I would kind of want to disagree with it, but as somebody who doesn't smoke, I kind of have no real standing to disagree with it.
Well, no, your standard can be, it affects you. And how does it affect you? Because if it does affect you, I can understand your point, and I can understand it.
I don't like the smell of cigarettes, and that's about it.
Yep.
I don't mind it that much outdoors, but I think maybe the outdoors bit I'm not fully for, not fully against it either. For me, it's a bit of a nothing, but I'm very much for the vapes, very much for the things we need to impose on vapes. I think we're not going far enough. I think we should ban flavored vapes. I think we should ban colourful packaging. I think vapes themselves should have the lung and veins packaging, the smoking kills packaging.
I think that I agree to that point.
Still
I'm
on
not
it.
too sure about the flavour thing. I mean, I personally, you know me, I've done many sort of things talking how much I hate flavoured vapes. I keep my vape, so yeah, I've got a reusable one. It's cheaper, it's better for the environment, I guess, because you're not just disposing stuff. And I have just a plain mint flavour. Because it's inoffensive, it's not sickly sweet, and it's not appealing to others.
Maybe there should be some flavours then, but what I would think needs to be banned is any sort of flavours that are there for kids. Now, I don't know how you would enshrine that in law, but I'm sorry, bubblegum
Blue raspberry
should not be a vape. Blue raspberry, strawberry, blueberry, cotton candy, these should not be vape flavors. That's wrong.
I'm going to go through.
You could have nothing, mint, and I don't know, something like apple at most. Do you know what I mean?
I'm going to go through all the Elf Bar flavours at the moment for you. Just a quick one. There's a lot. There's a lot. There's apparently here. This one's got 49 different versions, and these are just some of them. Like apple, peach, watermelon, cherry, grape, coconut, melon, mango, kiwi, passion fruit, guava, pink, grapefruit, peach, mango, pineapple, meat. And these are all sweet flavours. Yeah. Typically appeals to children.
They're targeted for teenagers. They want teenagers to start.
Yeah. And look, cola flavoured one.
Hooked.
Blue raspberry lemonade. Elf Bull ice, so Red Bull flavoured one. Pink lemonade, cherry cola. These are for kids. Cotton candy, cream tobacco, Elfberg. What's that? Berries and mint, spearmint, strawberry ice cream. Those are, again, appealing towards kids. And they have stuff like, they have special, like, limited edition ones, which are made even more for kids. Like, oh god, they had some like gingerbread flavour ones for Christmas, stuff like that. It's like this.
Really?
I think they had a chocolate one, which is like, again, these are made for children.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I found the Christmas flavours here. Good lord, these look disgusting. They actually, I had a friend, they bought all of them, and we did a taste test of all of them. I thought every single one of them was grim. Because they are. Because they're made to appeal towards kids, and I'm not a kid. So we've got hazel toffee, red velvet cake, chocolate brownie cookies, honey apple, and gingerbread man, and cinnamon orange.
Like, there's just, smoking shouldn't be like, ooh, what fun, exciting flavors you get. It's, like, I had a cigar last night.
Mm-hmm.
It was really nice. There's flavors to it, but it's subtle. You have to have quite like a grown-up palate. Like, kids aren't going to like the smell of that.
No.
And it's subtle flavors. It would be awful if it was like red raspberry or something,
Yeah, gross. But you have cigarettes like,
but not just gross for me, but like, who are you appealing to?
Yeah.
You always have to ask, who are you appealing to? It's like what happened with Alco Pops back in the, I'm going to say 80s. It was literally alcohol designed for kids.
Oh, yes. I was thinking WKD, that sort of stuff. VK, stuff like that. It's made for kids, honestly.
But that's why VK flavors are called blue. It's blue or red. That's why those are the flavor names, because Alco Pops used to be like really like kind of fun and quirky names, and it was what underage people drunk.
Yeah.
It was what they drunk.
But now people have bottles of vodka instead, because it's cheaper to get someone to buy a bottle of vodka than to buy you a 24-pack.
Yeah,
and I'd rather kids have a 24-pack. I'm gonna be honest.
But vodka at least isn't advertised for kids.
No, it's not advertised.
There's nothing on it that is appealing to a kid.
No.
The alcohol itself is, and just like smoking itself is, kids would still vape, but it's not marketed to them. It's not as appealing. Not as many would vape.
I can see that point very easily. I mean, even now, so like cigarettes, we in the UK, I think we've completely banned menthol cigarettes. Are you aware of what a menthol cigarette is?
Yes.
Yes. So it's a minty one, so it gets rid of quite a lot of the harshness and makes it more palatable. That's been banned because it's so appealing to kids. It's what most kids start with. And I've had menthol cigarettes before. They are amazing compared to a normal cigarette. Like I like a normal cigarette, but menthol ones are amazing. So I can completely understand why they're banned. I'm gonna go, it should be banned though, but I'm gonna say get the banned. It shouldn't be banned, but kind of at the same time, good on them because they are harsh.
But you do believe in a level of government interference?
I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be complete anarchy, because I'd love complete anarchy if I trusted the society that would then form out of it to be a moral society where they go, this isn't good for me, so I'm not going to do it. I don't trust that because the humans are designed for one thing, couple of things. One, acquire as much as possible to then show off to women, to then breed with women. It's basically the sort of male genetic makeup. That's what it says. It's what it says to do. But from that we've sort of found a way to tame ourselves, like we tame animals, with morals. And if we could live in a society with morals without any government interference, it'd be perfect. Think of it like Karl Marx was like, when socialism's achieved, then sort of a government will just dissolve. Like if we had a perfectly moral society, maybe the government would sort of just become less and less powerful. There's less of a need to deal with people who are disreputable.
This should be a topic of conversation on its own, but I believe humans are inherently good. But that's a massive conversation that we do not need to get into right now. We do not have the time to get into it right now.
No, we do not. So, do you think it's going to pass? This idea of, is it going to then, this idea then form something?
I don't think the pub one will pass. I think most of the other stuff will.
Children's parks we can agree to, definitely, for sure.
But I think a lot of vapes being behind the counters. I think just the outright ban of cigarettes for people unborn before 2009 will happen.
Cigarettes behind the counter I can go to. I'm not 100% on the banning kids though, because people will always want to smoke, and they'll just find other ways to get it. Which will probably be on tax, which you love to collect as much tax as possible, or whatever. Collect that tax.
Yeah,
and also less dodgy, less reputable tobacco.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Pubs, I'd rather not. Nightclubs, I'd rather not. Hotels banning smoking. I don't understand what that means because you can't smoke inside of it.
So it'll be like garden areas of hotels, smoking areas in hotels.
I think it should be allowed that any public space should be able to, any privately owned space should be allowed to make their own decisions, because there is definitely a market at the moment, because how low smoking is compared to what it would have been 20, 30 years ago, that people would go, I'd rather go to the smoke-free pub, I'd rather go to the smoke-free hotel. There's a market.
Partially, but I think just because it's private property, I think that kind of, it's quite like a nice little catch-all, like, oh, it's private property, I should be able to do what I want, but you shouldn't, right? Like, we have rules about how you can serve alcohol on a premise, your private property, but you should still have to follow those rules.
Yeah, but it's very complicated, all this sort of stuff. That's law in general, really, all this sort of stuff. It's very complicated. There's so many edge cases, but I feel that there should be, I don't know, more talk about this, and it should be up to a national vote as well, I think, on that, because I'm sorry, but I don't think those in charge actually should understand
national vote. What, you think a referendum for this?
Maybe. I know it's a faff. I know it's the right faff.
Referendums are a lot of effort for smoking.
Yeah, but come on. Because I know if a referendum happened, probably this ban would not go into
Bigger
effect.
things happen, though. Bigger things happen. That's why you vote for your MP, because your MP gets your vote for you.
But my MP's probably going to want to ban cigarettes.
Well, speak to them.
But I don't. But he's like, but Sid, why do you care? You don't smoke. I'm like, yeah, but like, people should be allowed to. Like, what?
He's not going to do that. Your MP's not going to go, oh, wow, well, I know your personal life. Oh, why do you care? Just have a conversation with him. Why do you support the cigarettes and how come?
Yeah, I think people should, maybe if they, if people were to sort of more justify and think it through, maybe they could. Again, I implore every single person to think this through.
But this is a message to everyone, you and anyone listening. Speak to your MP. If you ever want to speak to your MP, speak to your MP. Email them, call them, walk into their office. They'll have an office. Just Google it and walk into it and go, hi, I want to speak to my MP. Also, you can go into Parliament. You can bang your fist on reception and you can say, I demand to speak to my MP. And then they have to get back to you within like 3 days, I think it is, of you doing that. It's quite a funny, like, old tradition. It's like within within Parliament, there's a certain desk that you can go and you have to do that. And then you can go, I demand to speak to my MP of da-da-da constituency.
I never want that to change. I never want that to change ever.
But yeah, no, absolutely. Also, you can make your MP bring up an issue in Parliament.
Oh,
you can't make them
votes.
take a stance. No. You can't make them take a stance, but you can get them to bring it up.
What was that website
you can demand that they bring it up.
That website where if you get certain...
The petitions one.
Yeah, petition one. If you get a certain amount of votes, it'll be talked about.
Online petitions. It will be talked about. Yeah, exactly.
Very important stuff. Do you think we've covered this point to death?
I think so. I think we've done it to death. Definitely.
All right, so that's it for us for now. We're going to take a little break and we're going to come back with a drink in our hands and we'll do the current response. We've got a lot. We've done a lot.
A lot of comments. Really popped off these comments.
We'd like to say some goodbyes to our normal segment listeners who don't want to listen to our end show.
Yes, anybody who does want to listen, thank you all for listening. It was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed these conversations.
I always do. As I've said before, it's the best way to sort of understand my own political beliefs by having someone to talk to me about it.
Yeah,
I have to justify it.
I think I'm getting better and better at how this is working. I think it's flowing smoother and smoother. Though all the technical issues are getting less and less.
There's a few little issues we're having, but they're getting smaller and smaller though.
There's always going to be issues, but they are getting less. And I think it's working a lot better, and that makes it a lot more enjoyable because then we just get to do the fun bits more.
And this is fun. I can feel that I feel. I don't know if do you think I'm influencing you at all in your political beliefs? I feel like you influence me a bit.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Both of these, we're talking to it, discussing it with each other, and now we're being able to understand each other better and also other people better
in a polite and kind manner.
Respectful manner.
And that really is what SpinCycle is all about: is these conversations, learning things, having fun, and
If you have anything to comment, any disagreements or topics we should mention, please make sure to comment below or follow us any of the social media. What social media do you even have, Charlie? You're in charge of that sort of stuff.
Yes, I am. So we've got Threads, we've got TikTok, we've got Instagram. We don't have X/Twitter.
Do we?
We had X/Twitter, but we now no longer don't.
What?
And we have YouTube, obviously.
Of course. Well, yeah. Make sure to reach us out, find us out there. And I want to do something on our Instagram story. I know for a fact I'm going to post a story and ask people to vote on which topic I should cover next, because mine's always quite lot less current. So I'll let people vote on which one you want to hear from me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and just send a message at any time on any of those about a topic, and we'll probably do it.
Yeah, we're quite small for now, so we'll probably respond to it immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
I love you and leave you all. All right. See you soon.
Yeah. Thank you all for listening. Great. Right, hello everyone and welcome back. If you're still here listening to our comments, if you hadn't heard enough of our voices by now, I'm very surprised, but thank you. I'm very honoured. So we've got a little bit of a more chill vibe. we've had dinner, had a long break, and we're going to read through some comments. But first, we've got a couple of drinks. So I'm having a gin and tonic right now. And Sid, what are you having?
Chilean wine, miniature, not a whole bottle.
Fine. Not a whole bottle.
The
that is
camera
good.
can do like perspective things, but this is a small sized one. Okay.
No, you're just a giant.
Actually, it's actually pretty big. If anyone had this, I'd be really impressed. Sorry.
I'm
so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay, it's just more work for you to do.
It's a 3 episode. No, I'm keeping it in. It's 3 episodes. It took me 3 episodes to make a dick joke, to be fair. I'm actually pretty impressed.
Anyway, so today we have with us someone to read out the comments. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Kirsten. I go to uni with Charles, sorry, whatever you go by here.
It's all right. So Kirsten, you're part of my Labour Society, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the Mr. President who bosses me around and tells what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Supreme Overlord, actually, I prefer.
Yes, of course.
And what is what do you do in Labour Society?
I have the stupidly long title of Events, Campaigns and Labour Party Liaison Officer, which I will say does not fit on a CV. It's not the nicest title, but there you go.
I can
Love
imagine.
that.
I want
actually love that.
everyone to know that as a society, we all decided, for the fun of it, she's going to keep that
Yeah,
title.
I put in an amendment to get it
she wanted
shortened.
to change it, and we blocked it.
Change it, make it longer.
No. I will be putting forward to amend it to make it a reasonable length name every single constitution change.
Head of swag, something like that.
Hell yeah.
Head of swag. Right. Shall we jump into the comments then?
Yes, I think we should.
Sounds good. So the first one you've got is saying from Felicia Tits 4 days ago, saying, very interesting conversation. I can't lie, I have a very pessimistic view of politics at times. I can almost smell the bullshit as soon as a politician starts speaking, and that's either side, left or right. It just seems like things are getting worse, but you guys are right. Every generation thinks this way. That we are living in the worst of times, when in actuality things are a lot better, we just have different problems now. Shocked you guys don't have way more views. It'd be fun to see your channel grow.
That was a comment on our Nothing Ever Happens video. It's a very lovely comment.
A lovely comment. I don't understand it though,
them.
because we have like billions of views or whatever, so like, don't know what they're about. We're like the most popular channel ever.
But no, I responded to that comment already, but I just, thank you for the comment. It's very kind. And I said we would be talking about this comment in our next video, so here we are. What do you think for that, Sid?
Well, I could definitely... Well, when I was in my Nothing Ever Happens, my whole core thesis of that segment was actually nothing ever does happen in politics, ever. And I also said that everyone's... I think you brought up the point that actually everyone always like, oh yeah, this is the last generation ever, we are all going to die. Because my generation didn't have, my previous generation didn't have these problems. And they're right, every generation has a new set of problems. They're usually quite interlinked. They're different enough to get their own actual like term and phrase and all this different like media attention to them. But humanity's, I've always said humanity's like core defining feature is that we're always at the brink of death, and we always manage to go through. We've always survived. We've gone through a lot worse. 10,000 humans left in the Ice Age, and we still muddled through. And look at us now. We own this planet.
Yeah, exactly. And my kind of point with the generation thing was like, everyone knows we're not going to be the first generation, so everyone wants to feel like we're the last, because the thought of your generation being just another meaningless generation where nothing really changed is not kind of okay with the way that humans are. We like to believe we have to be important. But this is a really good comment, because they make a very good point that like the like bullshit aspect of politics, like the disbelief, I feel like that's really high at the moment in particular. But it's also been a true thing forever. Like even my dad will say like they never trusted politicians when they were our age and stuff like that, because politicians do lie. It's like it's part of their nature. You can't win an election by going, well, I may not be able to do anything, but I'll give it a go.
Yeah,
So
I'd
they
love for
kind
us
of
to
have
live in that sort of society where actually people are completely honest all the time, no lies and nothing like that. But it's impossible. It's hard, and yeah, I understand a lot of people now just don't trust politicians ever. I've been very big campaigning on anyone who, as I said, anyone whose job it is to get people to like them. I inherently distrust them, and that's completely valid. But this is see stuff in the mainstream news now with all the people that are saying like, no one trusts the mainstream news anymore. This is this problem. I'm like, is it though? If the mainstream news has to get a kick up their own arse to say make sure you are being factual, correct, and people believe you, if you get a kick up your arse, you've got to go. Don't compare it to kick up your arse. You've got to actually change and make sure you are presenting yourself as more honest.
Yeah, I think stuff like that. There's a real level, right? Because it's about holding like news channels and stuff accountable without just because you're like it's good not to just accept things as fact, but it's just as dumb to assume everything is a lie. There's everything a politician says, there will be some truth in it and there will be some lies in it. Everything they promise you, some of it will come true, some of it won't. If you just believe all of it's a lie, that's just as bad as believing all of it's a truth. That neither one of those is correct, basically.
But I'm gonna sort of counter that. I'm gonna say that it's good to always assume everything told to you is a lie, and then try to prove it correct. Try your best.
Do you
to prove
think?
It correct. Well, within science, I've got a very scientific background, so I'm always under the impression that you should sort of try your best to prove everything yourself. Now, for quite a lot of things, it's quite impossible. Sometimes you've got to take that leap of faith. Like, I am not the best at biology, so I will trust a biologist sometimes. Apart from, as I said earlier, I'm not trusting the biologist with portion sizes ever because they're always wrong. I'm not a fat bastard. But I'm eating more than 30 grams of cereal a day.
Yeah.
But I'll take that leap of faith.
I forgot what it was. I think it was on a Haribo packet the other day. It was like serving size, 5 sweets. The fuck is 5 Haribos? And then goes, yeah, I'm done. I'm done for the day. What?
That's delish. That was I'm right filled up. That
it was like a serving size on a Pringle can is like 10 Pringles. It's like, well, who's ever just eaten 10 and then gone, that will do me nicely?
No, I don't. I'm trying to think of any situation we can only have 10. There's just 10 left. But if I saw a Pringle can with only 10 Pringles left in it, I'm going to be really pissed off and angry.
Yeah.
But
yeah, anyway. Getting back to the question.
I think we've done this comment. I think we've responded to the comment quite well.
Yeah.
But
we're
always going to have different problems.
Yeah, but I want to say just really quickly, this is, again, like we had last episode, this is an example of just one of like the best kind of comments you can get. This person disagrees with us, but then they were open to what we had to say, and they've interpreted it differently, and yeah, and now they've changed my mind a little bit as well. So it's been an open conversation where we actually listened to each other rather than just said, well, I disagree with you, so I'm not going to hear you out.
Oh, I wouldn't say disagree with us, because I think my core point in Nothing Ever Happens is that politicians speak bullshit, that we always persevere through these world-ending scenarios. We're just going to have hope for our generation, instead of living in squalor and going, well, we're all going to die, so therefore might as well indulge in as much vice as possible.
I mean, maybe just disagree with me then.
It was you, yes, because you disagreed with my segment as a whole anyway.
I did, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this was a really, really good comment.
Thank you for this very much.
Should we go to the next one?
Of course we should.
So the next one is from TikTok, and it says, Bestie, from Bestie. Globalization erodes communities.
Yeah, so this was on the TikTok where I mentioned Thatcher as well. And I was blaming...
His numbers.
I was blaming the evil wicked witch of the West, that is Thatcher, for individuality, which has eroded senses of communities. And this person believes it's globalization. Sid is a very big kind of not into... Yeah, but also not into economics as much. What do you think about this?
I just came back from Chile. You know what I saw? Most of the restaurants were Starbucks, McDonald's. No, I don't like... we had to search far and wide to find authentic food. And that's one of the things. One of the biggest things about globalization is but globalization is amazing because you get like all these different cultures' food and like cool recipe books exist. Like we can get food anywhere. But I understand an authenticity argument. But it's the sort of global homogeneity. Can I say the word homogeny? Is it homogeny?
Yeah.
Where everything sort of becomes the same over enough time. You get a span. If you go to most cities in the world, they're all going to sort of look like that New York aesthetic. And I don't enjoy that. I want individual communities to have their own individual distinct identities. Now, I can understand that people want to get all the best aspects of communities and merge them into one because we get the best aspects of everything. But I feel like when you put so much together, you lose its core essence. You lose that sort of.
I think there's some truth in what you said. Having visited like a lot of quite big cities in East Asia last year, Southeast Asia, there was a lot of differences still within the cities, and I think also one thing that people forget about globalization is I think it has eroded some communities definitely, but I think it's also created communities. I've played video games with people that don't live in the same country as me. You can have Discord servers which are like built around a common interest, not dependent on where you are in the world, which is only possible through globalization. Like that has allowed it to these things to thrive. You know, even like Twitter has like Twitter Spaces now, or sorry, X has like X Spaces, but yeah, like you can find common interests with people and create virtual communities, which is something you couldn't do before.
But I'm not too sure if that's an inherent good thing. If you have a community revolved around one specific interest, it sort of forms a echo chamber, I feel, where you'll only ever hear people spout the same opinion, whereas in the local village, or the local tribe, whatever, you have a variety of people, all with their own variety of opinions. And it just helps.
I think that can be true if these online communities are centered around politics, but if they're not, like, so the people that I've played video games with have been from all different walks of life with all different sorts of opinions, had really interesting like debates with them. You know, if you're in a community that is about, I don't know, making dough balls, like you can have as niche a community as that, but let's say it's like a dough ball making community, there'll be people of all of the like political spectrum there with all different walks of life, all different opinions that you can learn from each other through that shared interest.
Yeah, I can see that. But I do enjoy a local community events, like a street party, as we said. We don't get street parties anymore, really. It's so hard to do.
There's one happening like 2 minutes away from me.
Oh, it's because you live in blank,
but
you know.
It's the first time. Yes, but also it's the first time like in the past 4 years. You just got really unlucky with the timing of that.
the last time I remember one would have been 2012, I think. That was I think honestly 2012 was like the last hurrah of British patriotism, really. Because I was like, what the fuck? Britain is amazing. Did you see that opening ceremony? And I was doing the Olympics. It was amazing. And at that point I was like,
a little bit. I think we get it with the football most years as well.
Yeah.
Football kind of re-inspires it a lot. And there was a lot of talk this year at the Olympics. I think the French opening ceremony kind of brought back English patriotism because we were like, this is rubbish compared to ours. Yeah, you could tell who was English online because they went, the Olympics peaked in 2012.
I didn't enjoy the French Olympics only because I know French. I am French. I was like, they could have so much better people. And the French Olympic ceremony was full of Americans and full of like other people from other cultures. And like, yeah, but I want the French people. I want French people, French musicians. I want, like Grace Jones, Alan, what's his name? Not Alan Bonnet. That's fucking not sad northern poet. Alan Chamfort.
Same thing.
I want like those like the good people representing French culture, and it just sort of became this Olympic did seem a bit too globo homo. You know what I mean? Everything's the same. Not global homosexuality, okay. Sadly. One day we'll win.
Not homosexuality.
Earth is gay, proven.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely a lot of truth to this sentence, but I don't think it's the whole truth. I think we can have a world with globalization and communities and strong communities. I think they could coexist.
But how would you ensure it? Because I think at the current trajectory, communities are just dissolving into one.
I think we need a lot more intervention by governments to help prop up communities, but I also think there needs to be a bit of an attitude shift with government and with capitalism, that rather than focusing on the individual, as I said, as what happened in the 80s, kind of bringing back the like 60s and 70s feel of like we need to prop up our country together and work for it together kind of thing.
Yeah, I can see that, but I know for a fact that you would not be pro. I probably wouldn't be pro either. Let's say like that. What's that German thing we saw earlier in the first segment? We were talking about one
Nationalism.
One of their key points was restoring traditional German values. So they're got Germany's community, restoring it and protecting it. And I know for a fact that it's quite a tough line to draw there.
There's some worrying. Did you know we do actually have English values that are taught in school? There are 5 English values.
Yeah, they're not taught deeply.
British values, sorry, not English.
They're
British.
not taught deeply enough, I think.
Do you know what they are?
One of them was like inclusivity, which I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so they're really, really interesting. And I think that is kind of like they are there to try and not even restore a sense of like identity and core values, but really to create them.
Yeah, democracy,
we just
rule
kind
of
of
law,
decided on them.
Individual liberty, mutual respect, and tolerance. But
I think those are all great.
I'm thinking like democracy is more of a French invention.
Yeah, but it's a British value that we adhere to.
Rule of law, definitely.
No one's claiming,
Carta,
but no one's claiming that we invented democracy. It's that it's part of being British is you believe in democracy.
Yeah, but like in France, everyone knows what the 3 things France stands for: liberté, égalité, and fraternité. There's those 3. Everyone knows that. Even around the world, people know those 3 core values that France stands for. It's because it's literally France's motto, whereas our motto is like God save the king. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I think this is hopefully like a bit of a transition to something like that, where we have 5 key things that you need to kind of believe in and get behind in order to be British.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. I'm just not too sure. As a whole, is Britain's one of its key values throughout its lifetime being tolerance to different faiths and beliefs, or is this a new thing? You know what I mean?
I think it's a really old tradition.
Yeah,
I think you can look back all the way through British history, like even to like when Rome was here and stuff like that. The Roman Empire was in England, and we had different cultures, different societies all working together. And the core of the British Empire as well. I don't really like a lot of the British Empire and what happened with it, but a lot of the core of it was about going around the world, and we took the bits from it that we liked. You know, we stole them and we plundered them, but we went, wow, this is really cool what you guys have. Let's bring that into our thing. I mean, our national drink, a cup of tea, isn't from England, right? You can't grow it in England.
It's from China,
right? Or
grown
you
in
can now,
India.
but like, yeah, exactly. So we what we are as a identity is based on other cultures and is built upon other cultures, and a tolerance for that as well.
Yeah, like 1400s, like, you know, any race was welcome and sort of stuff. There were issues in the 1600 with our slave trade, but we started the slave trade, but we also ended the slave trade, and also ended everyone else's slave trade by force.
Yeah, and I think we've got a lot to be ashamed about our past, but we've also got a lot to be proud about our past. And
no, everyone will say England's slave trade, yada, but they never mentioned we also went through and spent shit tons of money to then destroy it from our own colonies, and then make sure no one else around the world that we could see was trying to do it either. So like, wasn't the worst, I guess. We apologise. We gave all these affected communities a shit ton of cash and help. But cash doesn't.
It's a very confusing. But anyway, to answer the comment, I think partially agree, partially disagree.
I think individuality erodes communities, and globalisation also erodes communities. Balance. Yeah. Balance.
Yeah.
Core themes.
Next one
anyway,
is
next
from,
question.
The next comment is from Kryptonite, saying, ridiculous argument. The world is effed up because of fiat money. Gullible lads think paper money is based on nothing. Air has nothing to do with loss of meaning.
So this was in response again to that same video. There were a couple issues I had with this comment.
in particular. So I kind of got into a little bit of an argument with him in the comment section. But a couple of things. Firstly, I didn't say that money based on nothing creates communities. So I don't really know why he's assuming I do believe that. But also then we talked quite a lot back and forth because I failed to see what fiat money. So anyone that doesn't know, fiat money is money that is backed by nothing. So originally you had the gold standard, which was you could go to your central bank, so like the Bank of England, and turn your money in for gold to claim it back. Because if you actually ever look at a banknote, it says, I owe the bearer the sum of £5 on a £5 note. So it was that you could claim £5 worth of gold. And then we dropped...
Not weight, obviously.
Yes, yeah. And we dropped that. So now it's backed by nothing. It doesn't, you can't swap it for something. It's just worth what it is worth. But yeah, I'm a big advocate for fiat money. I think it's really good. I think it allows governments flexibility. And I don't see why it erodes a community at all.
I distrust it. First of all, I'm going to say this. He mentions community nothing nowhere in this comment at all. Is what I'm going to say first off. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the implication was because our thing was about how communities have eroded, and then he says the world is effed up because of fiat money. I assume he's saying that the effed up bit about the world is like that communities have eroded and stuff.
Well, the thing is, like, communities eroding is a symptom of the world being effed up, and fiat money is one of the main causes. They want to say that this is all because of that, but again, it's a multitude of issues. I don't trust fiat money because the original purpose of gold was that it was non-fungible, and everyone knows non-fungible from those NFT things, which could see positive and negatives for it. It could have been used better, definitely. It was just pumped for venture capital. That's a different topic for another day, though. But basically, there is a limited amount of gold. It's a limited amount of money, so you got to be careful with your spending and sort of stuff. And you can't, because now the government just prints money like that, just will print money for it to fund their stuff, and all it does is devalue the money for future generations if we don't... It won't devalue it if our economy grows at the correct rate, but it's not going to grow at the same rate. Because, one, England is shrinking, its economy, its population, and its needs.
Little fact check for you, England's economy is growing at one of the fastest rates of the G7 currently, excluding America. Yep,
How the fuck have we not...
0.9%.
How have we not... recovered from
no idea.
We still haven't recovered
but
from
only 0.9%, and inflation is at 2%. So it is. If you removed inflation from the GDP growth rate, we're losing 1.1%. That's called real GDP.
Christ, yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, but anyway, so I think one first thing to say is we can discover more gold, which causes an inflationary spike. Secondly, inflation still had spikes even when backed by gold, because you can't get inflation caused by government printing money. But inflation isn't just when government prints money, right? Inflation is... No. Fuck, I assume from your face I've completely messed up my explanation for that.
Yeah.
Right, okay, no, let me start over. Okay, so when you have a gold-backed currency, you can't print money, as much money, right? You can only print as much gold as you discover that month or whatever that year. So you can't get inflation from printing money when you've got a gold-backed currency. However, you can get inflation from other things. So inflation is when there is more demand than supply, right? So when more people want it than people can give you stuff, that causes a rise in prices. So what the kind of inflation most people think about is government printing money, then there's too much money in the economy. That means demand's going up, right? Higher than supply is. So therefore, that causes rising prices. What can happen, though, is the alternative is that supply drops down. So the ability to supply people with stuff can falter. That happens in recessions and stuff.
I'm confused.
Or anything.
Supply what? What is the demand? What's the supply?
Of the market.
Okay, I thought you were saying that the more like the more demand of money that
No,
inflation.
that
I say
of
it's the
goods,
exact opposite.
of
It's the
goods.
opposite.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Supply and demand of goods.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So if supply of goods, so say for example, when Russia invaded Ukraine, right, food got a bit iffy for a while. Right, the supply of food got a bit iffy. The demand for food was the exact same, but when supply dropped down, more people are competing for, or the same amount of people are competing but for less stuff. Therefore, the prices rose. So you can still get high periods of inflation even with gold-backed money, which is interesting. But the reason why I like fiat money is that governments can adjust. So if you are experiencing a recession, you can print more money to do what's called fiscal expansion, which is where the government increases spending, which injects money into the economy. So that can help bring you out of recessions. And as long as supply can meet the demand, you don't get inflation. So if you think about it, if injecting the money increases the demand, right? People have more money, they're going to want to buy more.
Yes.
If they can supply more, there's no issues. If shops can give you more food, then it shouldn't cause inflation. It's only when it beats supply, demand beats supply, do you get rising prices.
We've printed a lot of money recently. I'm not sure that we can add that much to our economy. The government just prints so much money for just random, not random, but for government causes, and it's like we're not going to be able to match that money.
Well, I mean, here's a little thing about why I think the ability to print money is quite good. So America printed a lot of money over COVID,
A shit
right?
ton.
Which did cause a big inflationary spike, right? But do you know how much the economy crashed and then grew during COVID?
I'm not sure how that's relevant, but go on.
So the biggest crash of GDP ever recorded was America in 2020. They had a GDP crash of 28%.
Jesus.
Yeah. Then the year after, they had the biggest ever economic boom, so biggest ever increase in GDP of 30%. So huge turnaround, huge ability to come back from that. And that in large was due to that mass printing of money. So while that did cause a little bit of a rough patch of inflation, if they hadn't have been able to pull back all 28% of that economy, everyone would be so much poorer. Quality of life would have crashed. Imagine having 20% less money. That would be awful.
Well, I think it's not the most fair comparison because, of course, it wasn't money that caused it. It was also the workforce just kind of died from COVID.
Yeah.
There was no the workforce immediately collapsed. But also, the GDP increased. I'm not too sure that's a fair argument because it's like, how many pounds do I have? I have 20 pounds. And then if I print more, I have 60 pounds. So therefore, I've got more money. Like, yes, the amount of dollars they have is increased, but also the value of an individual dollar has gone down.
No, not true. See, again, this is where the supply and demand comes in. If people can supply you more stuff, your value of your dollar hasn't gone down. You're just richer. Right? So say if I was buying, I don't know, your lovely alcohol collection behind you. Right?
Never
And let's
sell that.
assume each bottle is £1. Right? And I have £5. I can buy 5 bottles, right? But if I printed money and I had £10, I could buy 10 bottles off you because you have 10 bottles. It's only how many bottles do you have there? Do you reckon?
20, 30.
20. So if I printed off £40 worth, then there starts to become a problem, right? Because there's more money than goods to buy. So the price will rise so that you sell all your goods.
But I'm going to counter that argument with a different way. So you have £5, I have £3. I have this alcohol bottle. The government both gives us an extra £5. I'm like, cool, I've got more money. I know everyone else has got more money. I'm going to charge you £1.20 per bottle, actually.
So that's expected inflation, though, right there. So one huge cause of inflation, one huge cause of inflation is what people think inflation will be. But you don't actually know day by day how much money your government's printed. and you don't know what impact that's had on inflation. It's when newspapers start reporting going, right, there's going to be a huge inflation spike, that people start thinking there'll be an inflation spike.
Yeah, I can see that. I think this fiat money thing, we could deep dive into this one day, I think. Do a proper deep dive, because I think fiat money is awful. That and venture capital, my two biggest things I hate with money. But
They're
I think
like two of my favourite things about money.
Venture capital.
Yeah.
What the? I'm sorry.
Love
I'm
it.
quickly 30-second rant on that. What they do is basically get companies with a really good idea, such as Uber, which is like, we can charge so much less for like cars, but taxis. So then for the first like 5 years, because they're being pumped full of venture capital, they can offer rides for like $5. And then suddenly once the venture capital dries up, they're like, oh, would you mind paying 40 quid for an Uber you paid tenner for last year? And I go, no. And then during that 5 year time, they completely destroyed the taxi industry, and then they destroy themselves, and both are fucked.
I do. The Ubers are still way cheaper than taxis, but also
For now.
But that's an example of like monopolies taking hold there. The issue there isn't venture capital; is that it's a flawed business model. Uber were running at a loss so that they could monopolize the market,
But they were
so that then they could jack up prices.
but operating at a loss because of venture capital.
But venture capital itself isn't an issue, because think about how many companies wouldn't exist, how much stuff we wouldn't have, because it never would have had the funding to take off.
Yeah, YouTube is my main counter argument. YouTube exists because of venture capital, and I kind of like it. Kind of like the YouTube quite a bit.
Yeah.
As we're on YouTube right now.
No one would have been able to have funded this to have taken off the ground without people injecting money into it.
Yeah. No, it's a complicated issue. It's a complicated issue. Shall we go on to the next comment? To the next
Yes,
sponsor
there is
the
a
same
part
person,
2 to this comment,
saying,
which is the one
what
up on
gives
screen.
meaning? The ability to save to achieve your dreams. Houses not artificially inflated in price. Quality of life is tanking, and it has been since 1971. What the fuck happened in 1971.com?
So basically, we got into a whole thing, went through it a lot, and he told me to look at this article and that it would, or this website, and that it would expand my mind a lot, he said. And I replied saying I love having my mind expanded, love learning new things. So promised him we'd give it a look on the video, on the next video. So
it's pulled
here
up
we
for
are.
us.
Exactly. So I mean, if you scroll down, it's a lot of basically potential economic problems. So a lot of it is about how productivity skyrocketed since 1971, but wages didn't with that.
Wow.
Things about how like the poorer, like 25% have gotten worse, while the top like 1% have gotten better.
This one is this one's not a fair comparison here. The average black income as percentage of white American income.
Yeah.
Because of course it's going to increase drastically between 1948 and 1971, because that's kind of like
and as you get closer, it gets difficult to catch up those final percentages.
You've heard of the 80-20 rule, haven't you, right?
Yeah.
For those at home who don't know, 80-20 rule, 80% of something can be achieved within 20% of the effort, and then the last 20% will take 80% of the effort to obtain. So of course, going from 20% of the white income to 40% of the white income is pretty easy, because what you do is like you get paid at an equal rate compared to a white person, whereas getting the rest of this, getting it to the final edge is much harder, because then it goes on to generational issues where black communities are having being underfunded, so therefore they're not able to access things like education as well,
jobs and stuff like
so
that.
Therefore they can't get these higher paying jobs that white Americans are much easier
so
to get.
The beginning bit of legislating that you can't just pay two people differently for the same job because of the colour of their skin, that's easy.
Yes.
But then the bit about, okay, why aren't they obtaining as good at jobs? That's the difficult bit.
That's going to take hundreds of years to probably solve in the end.
Yeah. And a lot of this is about income. And now this is really interesting, because this came off the TikTok where I was talking about Thatcher.
Yeah.
And one of the things I will say about Thatcher, right, one of the things that happened during the 70s and 80s is that we saw a switch of attitude from businesses should be striving to make their workers better, or like the point of government is to support the workers, to the point of government is to support the businesses.
Yes.
So I blame different economic policies on this happening, not fiat money in itself.
Yeah, I can see that. As I've told you before, I see no meaningful distinction between government and a corporation. They're just governments claim they own land, and we all go, yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
That's the only main difference. Of course, they're going to eventually realise, actually, if we said put resources towards a corporation, which is basically the same as us, we profit more because like people will still keep on like, the way to do is move away. They're not fucking moving, stay here.
But also, it was a time when there was a big recession,
Yes.
and the belief of how to get out of it by Thatcher was that we need to support companies.
I disagree. I disagree on that back because I'm sorry, but companies. I don't see what the point of having a company over a person exists, because even these we both agree that GDP is a worthless metric. Really, we should have a better metric that deals with also things like human happiness and our like environmental ability, like a number showing that the average meat cube in England makes this much money is not what we should be striving to increase. It should be, these are citizens, these are people, these are individuals who all have a life that want to be happy, enjoy themselves, and be able to live comfortably.
And also a lot of this, right? So these are all American stats. Right?
Yes.
And a lot of what happened in the 70s is America stopped booming. They had a ginormous boom after the World Wars. That was when they became the global superpower. Right? Your growth like that, experiencing growth like that, where wages were rising and the rate they were rising, is really unheard of. They have slowed down. And like stuff like their GDP's kept rising because they've exported and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When was the Cold War?
Yeah, well, I thought maybe the Cold War
It was from 19... Well, I guess it's up to you how you interpret it. It's kind of loose interpretation, but 1945 to
91.
91, yeah.
I thought maybe the Cold War might have slowed progress a bit. I don't know, but
Maybe.
it seems not.
I mean,
halfway through.
70s was kind of like the height of the Cold War.
Yeah, well, of course, people are less likely to do consumer spending with like, we're going to die soon. It's like the difference between inflation and deflation. If you have inflation, people are more likely to go, well, if I hold on to this money for ages, it's going to become worthless. So I might as well spend it now, which then boosts the economy. Deflation is like, I'm going to try and buy as little as possible because eventually it's going to be worth more. So I'm going to hold on to it as much as possible. And I wouldn't mind a bit of deflation because I like the idea of stop being consumer, because I'm quite anti-consumer. Again, this is the supposed like anarchist and like supposed like big business guy who likes, no, I'm very anti-consumerism. Get what you need, buy something that's high quality and not tut, and it will last you longer and you'll feel better buying it that way.
Yeah, no, of course. And we need to move that way for the environment. But the problem with deflation, Sid, is people do buy less, which might sound good until you start firing people because companies are making less money. So they need to reduce staff, and then people are left with no money.
That is the issue. That's very much the issue.
It is. But anyway, I mean, I think this was a good it's an all right article. I kind of disagree with like their kind of interpretation of the facts, but there's a lot of useful facts, to be fair.
Well, look at this. So if I Google what WTF happened, first thing I see is WTF happened in 1971. The next one underneath it is debunked, so it's clearly quite a contentious issue. If people want to comment and talk about it more, then we'll have a look at it on this pros and look at it as negatives for sure.
But we could do a whole segment on literally just that page. WTF is 19.
People need to let us know though. Let us know that.
The next comment is from Spice on Top, and they say, the Chinese are further ahead after America pulled out of Afghanistan. They mine the biggest lithium reserves for free. The West is controlled by certain people with certain hats.
This was an interesting comment. It was based on our war one, and it was you saying we need to show like
strong face, strength
with Russia. Yeah, exactly. Because I fully disagreed with this person. I let them know that in the comments as well, in a polite way. But I did say so. I don't think they're further ahead. The American military is vastly superior, and their economy is still bigger. China exports a lot more trade, but America exports more services. And that's, we live in a world where services are becoming the biggest thing by far.
Well,
more
definitely
than what
the
you
Chinese army are much bigger in terms of manpower.
It's the biggest employer in the world.
But I'm sorry, it doesn't really mean shit because you haven't got a choice quite a lot of the time. I believe
Exactly.
Do they have
And
mandatory military service? I think they do.
Do we really think... I think so, yeah. And they're the biggest employer in the world. But do we really think any war fought in the modern day is going to come down to manpower? I mean, think about Russia, Ukraine, right? Zelensky isn't going, can you guys give me troops? He's going, I need long-range missiles. I need the tech. The tech is so much more important nowadays than the troops. It isn't about just throwing meat shields at people and just saying charge them and we'll just keep going until they run out of bullets, right? It is about who has the best jets, who has the best drones, who has the best missiles, who has the best air defense systems, stuff like that.
But I think the Russia-Ukraine war is going to be the last of this sort of kind because, I'm sorry, America and China, they're quite far apart from each other. So our interception technology is absolutely world-class. Both sides have got world-class interception technology. So it's cyber attacks. That's what you're going to get. Cyber attacks and infiltration and subversion. You get that sort of stuff.
And again, America has the best tech on this. They do have the best tech. We hear a lot of scare stories about China because it sells better. It sells better that, they've attacked our infrastructure potentially than America might have done it to China, because we're Western, right? But I'm not really sure what they mean by the biggest lithium reserves.
Afghanistan has a deal with the Chinese for quite a lot of their mines. I have a friend who's spent a lot of time in Afghanistan. They can attest that they've got a really good deal. At the moment, there's a big issue in Africa. Actually, quite a lot of people are not happy with the fact that the Chinese are coming in and just sort of raping their resources.
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of the whole life story of Africa. Basically, is someone comes in to free shit. I'll have that. This time it's the Chinese because they can make a good relationships and they can make a good base, basically a good base in nearby Europe. And Africa hasn't got the technology, but it's got a shit ton of resources.
I think the biggest mistake of America recently has been their lack of foreign policy and their isolationist tendencies. It is screwing them over because they are losing strongholds. I know, but they are losing countries that should be theirs, kind of theirs, are going to China. However, I was also reading up, now this was 2 years ago, but I do remember reading this, that 90% of Chinese foreign investments are going bust. They are not working out, and they are causing the Chinese government huge issues because they have spent so much money for no returns because they're doing it in places like Africa where the money's being lost to corruption. So they're giving them 20 billion and stuff to build dams and then the dam never gets built in the end. The money just kind of disappears into the economy.
I don't know what it is. I've only ever heard horror stories with China and dams. There's so many instances I can name of Chinese dams going horribly wrong. Yep. Don't get it.
Just it's they're developing fast, yes, but they aren't there yet. They aren't the biggest. They could be. I think they could easily overtake America, but I think that would be, America's got another decade or two. It could have hundreds of years still if it pulls its head out of its arse and does something, but,
Have you heard the conspiracy theory about Chinese population?
No. What is it?
So, I remember seeing, I can't remember where I saw it or where I heard it from, probably heard it from, most likely, probably be a pub or a bus, something like that, with some old drunk man just saying shit. But I've heard it multiple times, so there might be a nugget of truth to this. So China reports about 1 to 1.1 billion people, if I'm correct, sound about right?
I thought it was 1.5 now.
Something like that, some large, very large number.
It's a huge amount of the population.
But, electricity companies and, gas companies are but doing some, complicated math stuff, we can see about 800 million people only. Still a shit ton of people.
Ooh.
Maybe it's because I don't trust the Chinese government not to lie about their GDP. I don't trust any government not to lie about their GDP, because who would ever admit, yeah, we're kind of doing really badly at the moment. No
Well,
country would
see,
admit
that's
that.
why I do trust Western countries, because they do admit that.
Yeah.
Like, we do go, yeah, we're in a massive recession. This is bad.
China's like, yeah, China's strong. We number one. And they're going, of course they're going to say that.
And they do have a lot of issues with censorship. So it would be very easy for the government to be like censoring any reports about their GDP or their population.
I swear they didn't even do the GDP last year, because, like, yeah, we just didn't want to do it because it's embarrassing because it's like so good or something like that. You know what I mean? I think they didn't even give it out.
I think there's huge issues. It's their housing market at the moment is really crashing, because it's basically a Ponzi scheme. So people have fully paid off mortgages for flats that aren't built yet.
Yes.
And the companies have run out of money.
Remember that video of that city, the entire city being demolished?
Yeah.
Because they chucked money at it, like, it's not worth it. Gone.
Yeah.
What
yeah, they're experiencing some issues now for sure, but we'll have to see if it works. If they can claw it back or not.
Doesn't mean we have to put on a strong face to China, because we've got to make sure we are in some kind of Cold War again, some aspect, some sort of way of defining it.
I would agree with that, yeah. But I definitely think the US is still the strongest military.
For now, definitely, for sure. And who knows which side have got what classified technology.
Yes. This next comment is from R, and they're saying the development in war only helps war. The development in peace helps people.
This was the start of a very long chain of comments. I think 20 comments going back and forth.
I think it's still going.
That wasn't me. It was 2 other people. So thank you for that, because it was amazing for engagement. We love you for that.
That's so rude. It was amazing to hear their opinions. There we go.
Well, yes, but also it was amazing for engagement.
It was indeed.
But it was an interesting opinion. So this was in your response that war is good. Your clip where you said that war is inevitable and somewhat good.
Yes. Can I defend that bit?
Yeah.
Okay. War being good. War, people dying, no, not good. War is good for development of technology. That's agreeable. And also, I think war is sort of one of humanity's sort of natural states. We are animals after all. We try to think that we've got our head in the clouds, that we're more godly, and we've got to realise we are half head in the clouds, our feet are in the mud. And I think it's Gene Roddenberry, he said this, humanity is the only creature that has a head in the stars and their feet in the mud, but the mud is what allows us to dance. We've got to remember, we are animalistic creatures after all, and we're fighting and hating people for, you look slightly different than me, you sound slightly different than me, you are slightly different than me. That is natural for humans to do, and it's not a good thing, it's a deplorable thing. Hopefully we can evolve out of our infancy eventually, but for now, war is somewhat inevitable, and during this time, because we spend so much money on beating the other side, we have to, we spend money on so much thing, and we invent so much more technology. Eventually, the technology would have been invented anyway, but this wars in general, speed it up. And yes, does it speed up killing machines? Yes, it does for sure. But also speeds up things like the making electronics smaller. So eventually we can have an iPhone. Like I could definitely be very easily convinced that war is not good for humanity, because it's not good for humanity, but it's good for technological development. But I personally don't view technological development and human progress as the same thing. We are more than technology. We're more than animals that create technology. All right.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think, honestly, I genuinely don't have anything to add to that. I think definitely, I think there's arguments to be made both sides. I think his point that war, like the developments in war help war, are true.
Yes.
But I think that then we figure out ways of it being useful elsewhere. So like we invented computers to code break.
Yes.
But then we figured out other uses for it, like filming a podcast.
Another pair of white guys saying their opinions online because it totally matters.
See, so that is what real progress is for humanity right there. That is progress.
Preamble for us coming on.
Should we move on to the next one?
It says, stumbled on your podcast. Listen to the one about taxing private schools, and I'm so happy you get it. Having sent my kids to private school and working ever so hard to be able to, this 20% would have meant we wouldn't be able to. We are doing very well, but we are not the super rich, as you say yourself. I have chatted with a very good friend of mine who works for an all-girls private school, and she said she can't see her school surviving this tax, and she can't see the boys' school surviving it too. These two local schools won't make it, which means the kids who go there will have to go to the already struggling local state schools. Parents who send their kids there are on another level, and this 20% wouldn't be a problem for them at all. So what they're doing, they're only making the super rich with more power. And we should not forget these people who are against private education
That's right, yeah.
went themselves to the most pristine colleges, etc. They are hypocrites. When I said I'm not political yesterday, I am a bit, but I found it hard to express myself live like you do. But it makes me so proud to see that you get it. Labour in power is awful for my family. They hate people like us. Entrepreneur owning their own little business, we're going to have to pay even more tax. We are high earners, and when we own £2, we only have ourselves back in our account 80p. So you can imagine on a bigger scale how much our taxes are. I can't write it, it makes me sick. And do you remember during COVID, they wanted to lock us down even more than what the Conservatives did. We voted Conservative after how messed up our country is now. But they didn't vote for Labour either, as our country will make it even... Sorry. That grammatically the sentence isn't correct. Do I read it as it's written, or do I read it...
Sorry,
Oh, okay.
that would be me. I'm trying to anonymise it. It would have been...
I'm not saying we voted Conservative after how
I'm not
messed up our
saying we
country
voted
is now.
Conservative, sorry.
But they
Stop from there
didn't
again.
vote for Labour either, as our country will be even worse. And yes, Conservative/Labour, I can see much difference. Both rotten. But Labour hates people like my partner and I who work so hard, gives jobs to local people who did everything we could to have our children with good education, so I dislike Labour with a passion. I'm about to do my British citizenship and I don't know it won't do much, but I'll be able to vote for the next election, and at least it'll make me feel a bit better to be able to do so.
Charlie, you're the Labour man. I think it's more apt for you to respond first.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just what a comment, though. There's clearly someone who's not fully confident in their views, but amazing comment. Like, really well put together, really well thought out. A lot of solid arguments, and well done on, or hopefully well done on getting your citizenship soon. But congrats for going for it, and definitely vote 100%. Even if you vote Conservative, vote. It's better than not voting. It's so important you use your right to vote, because you lose it if you don't, and that is what young people have found. A lot of politicians don't do anything for young people because they don't vote. So if you don't use your right, you lose it, definitely. As for a lot of the stuff, so the VAT on private schools, that is really rough if it does push you out of being able to use a private school. I am still for VAT on private schools, because I don't believe in private schools. I don't believe some people should be able to access better education at the detriment of others. This is the thing. If our state schools were doing better, have a private school, why not go for it, chuck it in there? But our state schools are struggling, and the VAT, the tax on private schools, is going to be used to fund more teachers in state schools. So it will help these state schools. And I think also it's important to remember, so even I just said that, I said this tax on private schools, which is actually wrong. It's removing a tax exemption. So everything else, almost basically every single thing you buy has 20% VAT on it. Meals you buy have 20% VAT on it. Planes have 20% VAT. My razor has 20% VAT. Nice little thumbs down from Sid. But yeah, they all have VAT. So the fact that private schools didn't, and that's because they were treated as charities. Now, they shouldn't be treated as charities. If you want to send your kid to a private school because you've got the money to, fine, but it's not a charity, right? It's just a thing that you're purchasing. You're just purchasing a service, so you should have to pay tax on that, like every other service. But I get that it is going to push some people out, which is quite frankly, shit. And I have argued against other people who have not really acknowledged that and been like, no, everyone's rich enough, they'll take it, it's fine. No, it will push some people out. It will push people out on lower incomes. There's no denying that. But sometimes things suck for individuals. It does.
Not
But-
everywhere is Eton. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, exactly. No,
There are
exactly. And that's a
Private
really good
schools are
point.
one of the best ways to build generational wealth. Now, yes, it is inherently unfair that
Yeah.
state schools do suffer, and they always will. But I feel like, so the reason we have like 10 trillion% tax on cigarettes is to discourage people from smoking, yes?
Yes.
So wouldn't we want to try and lower taxes on things we want us to have? So lower taxes on vegetables, lower taxes on education, on good things for us. Because taxes, one of the main reasons we use it is it's an incentive and disincentive thing. So we'll incentivize things like like having a private education. I would say the more people that can access private education, the better for our country it would be. I'd easily say that.
I'd strongly disagree with that.
Private education is much better for the individual student. Much better.
I mean, I went to private school for primary and then I left to go to a state school because of how shit the education was. It varies. It varies. Some private schools are really good, some are bad. Because the thing is, they don't have to follow a syllabus.
Oh, yes.
It's a different methods of teaching than state schools have. And it's unfair that richer people get to have a better education at the detriment of others. Again, if our state schools are doing amazingly, then fine. But I mean, as I wanted to discuss, but it got shot down because apparently it'd be too boring of a topic. We have a huge budget deficit in the UK. So
We've always had a
wherever we
budget
can
deficit,
find
though.
an office, whenever we can find an avenue to generate tax revenue, to then be able to help people, like helping out state schools, that's good in my opinion. I want to move on to the bit about they said they were an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like a business owner. I think so. There's two things. Labour probably will end up taxing you more. Won't deny that. That it probably will happen. The thing that you do have to remember though is that you need growth for your business to survive. You need the economy to keep growing. So many small businesses have struggled these past 15 years, 20 years even, because we have stagnated. Since 2008, we have stagnated. That does crush businesses because prices rise, things get more expensive, wages have gone up. This does crush businesses if you can't grow with it. And so the hope of raising the tax is so that we can use it to invest in things. Well, not we, I'm not the Labour government, but that they can use it to invest in things that will help grow the economy. Because we can't keep not growing as an economy. So it might be rough in the short term. And I mean, Starmer, like when he did his speech recently about kind of having to raise taxes and stuff like that, he didn't say which taxes he's raising, but he said it is going to be difficult. And I think there's no denying there's going to be a rough couple of years. But the hope is that we can actually fix what is going wrong in the long term so that in 20 years time you can own a business, so that your kids can own a business, so that your kids can live in an economy that works. Whereas if we keep going down this path, it'll be an easier couple of years, but in 20 years time it will be so much worse.
But why do the government spends so much money on tax exemptions and like special things for big businesses? And we're not doing, yes, we give a lot of money to small businesses, but we need to incentivize small business over big business. You view me as I am the anarchist, sort of like what's the term? Anarcho-capitalist, I think that's the sort of thing. You sort of see me as that. And I think the biggest evil out of this sort of thinking is monopolies, duopolies, stuff like that, where you have a small segment of things of companies, of businesses that control the means of collecting something. And I don't like that. I would rather have a more open, more free trade. We have lots of smaller businesses all offering similar or the same thing, all at different competing prices, so they can't
Absolutely
corner the market and price gouge. It's not a good thing to do. And I'd rather at the moment to make sure some businesses survive as much as possible. Because the
100%.
amount of taxes that some businesses are already taking anyway is insane. As I said, what, £2 in, 80p keep. £2 profit, not £2 before profit, £2 profit, and they get an 80p out of it. Because all the stuff they got to spend on lots of stuff.
No, I mean, the corporate tax isn't that high.
Talking about
the corporate tax rate isn't that
combining
high.
all the taxes together.
Combining others.
All the taxes together.
Potentially. That still seems incredibly high. I don't know if that is profit after operating costs and loans and everything like that.
I know for a fact this person will watch this and then probably will respond and with maybe a bit more of a breakdown on how this makes sense, because
if
we are
I'm wrong,
20-year-olds, we are business owners at the moment, so we're not the best informed.
I don't know how how specific taxes work for small businesses. That does seem incredibly high tax rate. But I think, this is the thing that confuses me a little bit. I know they said they did. It's not saying they're very conservative, but this is what confuses me a little bit. Labour is very pro small businesses and very anti big businesses. The biggest tax rises are going to be on big businesses. The biggest cut down on tax exemptions are going to be on big businesses. They are going to go for big businesses the most. And then there will be a bit on small businesses, but they will also probably alleviate the taxes on small businesses before they do it on the big businesses.
I just don't trust Labour, as this comment also agrees with me. Labour, Conservatives, I don't see much of a difference. They'll talk the big talk, but no matter what, the common person, the common man will always get shafted. But Labour will say, yeah, we're here for the common man, and then Conservatives say, yeah, we're here to restore things to make it better for the common man, and both sides will just get shafted.
I think that is
hopeless, isn't it?
Completely untrue and so bad faith. But no,
but you can see why people believe the same thing I believe very easily.
Yes, I would hope most people could see that under Labour, small businesses do better, and under Labour, the poorest 25% of people do better than under Conservatives, and also the middle 50% do better under Labour than the Conservative. The only group that doesn't do better under Labour is the top 25% of earners. So the vast majority of people do better.
Well, within living memory, we haven't had Labour in the UK government, so we're going to have to find this one out ourselves.
Well, not with our living memory, but
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm talking.
Okay.
This is an audience.
But also, I can look at stats and, wages and stuff like that, and also speak to anyone who lived during that period. They will tell you 1997 to 2007, 2008 was a good period.
I'll just say about that. We'll have to look into it. Again, I'm not left on the top I haven't lived in. Let's be honest. What do you expect me to be? You know.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But anyway, it was a really, really good comment. A great one to end on. Great comment to end on. And yeah, it was amazing, really insightful, really respectful as well. Again, that's like the whole point of this is about having disagreements that are respectful, stuff like that. So it was a great comment. Thank you for your comment.
Further clarify again, please comment as much as you want about anything you disagree with, anything you want us to talk about. It's for the best, because then we get to talk about this and delve in more depth. We've done another hour and a bit just talking in more further depth about what we've already spoken about, just to understand the nuances of what we say, because we say things, and because we both are quite similar people, we'll just go, I agree with you. We need to actually delve into more depth as to why we form these beliefs and what these beliefs actually mean for other people, and see
how these comments have then created a conversation between us where we've found disagreements that we didn't know we had, that we can now form into whole topics. But definitely get your comments in, especially whilst we're not getting a lot of comments. We're responding to about 30-40% of the comments we get at the moment in these videos. The more comments we get, the less we're going to be able to respond to. So get them in whilst
we're responding to all the comments, but we're making special segments on only a certain few of the high caliber ones.
We don't talk about all the comments in this.
No, we don't talk about, but we'll respond to them at least for now.
Yeah, more or less. There's
So
some
let's
that go by, but
Would you like to do some outros for us then?
yeah, perfect. Well, yeah, thank you everyone for listening. If you have made it this far, that is incredible. Well done, you. Even I'm done with this by now. But no, loved it as always. Had a great time. It's sad we're back to online. Last time being in person was lovely, but you know, it's better to do it than not to do it at all. So
Also,
had a
it's
great
much
time.
easier for me to edit as well. I'm sorry. It's so much easier for me to edit. I can guarantee you that.
Well, that is fair. No, I had a great time.
No,
I really
just
enjoyed
thank you
it,
for
and
having
thank
me.
you so much.
Lots
Thank you everyone for listening. I want to also
Lots
thank
of,
our, of course,
no,
our
I
commentators
don't
to
know.
help read his comment out as well. Do you want to say any closing
tired,
remarks as
mate.
well, perchance?
so welcome.
We all are.
My
Thank
notes
you for
app is
being here
bursting with
for
responses.
an hour and 15 minutes and saying 5 sentences. Thank you. That must be so painful. You've done us such a huge favour.
Such a solid. Yeah, the you can catch us on all social medias ever, basically. If you enjoy us, please comment, like, subscribe, all that sort of good stuff. I really hate saying it, but please do. It'd be nice. Make us happy. Fill me with joy. Every time I do a little jump and a dance. I guarantee you, Siddelicious guarantee, not legally binding. So we'll see you all in a couple of weeks, maybe. Whenever we find we've got another 3 topics to talk about.
Perfect.
Right, I'm done. Right.